Was downstairs tonight when he came into the stadium. Girls gave him flowers. There were autographs. In fact, it really took him a number of minutes to get into the locker room. We're going to be back now in just a moment with more. He was just finished singing "O Canada," preceded by our American national anthem, as we are about to get underway with exciting soccer here from Empire Stadium, where the Chicago Sting are going to play the Vancouver Whitecaps. This is quite a night, as we said a moment ago, for Phil Parks in goal. A standing ovation tonight, and of course, it's a homecoming, and the fans here really like it.
They're the referees, Roy. And let's take a look at those refs. The main official, the referee, Robert Morgan. His linesmen will be Jan Bergout and Dad Pekorski, and we'll be back with the opening kickoff.
A young fellow from Haiti who has joined us as a defender. Exciting to watch. What a night he's going to have. France Mathieu tonight, Howard.
I hope he has a good night, Roy. We're going to need it.
And on the other side of the fence,
Willie Johnston, Scottish World Cupper, just came off a 2-game suspension for ungentlemanly contact. We're getting ready for the opening kickoff. The Chicago Sting will kick off. The Sting in black jerseys, yellow shorts, yellow pants, moving from your right to your left. The Vancouver Whitecaps in white and blue jerseys, blue shorts, moving from left to right. Vancouver defending the north goal with a magnificent mountain background, which we hope to show you a little bit later on. The Sting, of course, defending the south goal. The AstroTurf out here is not in particularly good shape. Field 110 yards long, but this AstroTurf really is old and somewhat similar to the old Soldier Field. There's a mistake by Mathieu. Carl Valentine trying to cut it down. Mathieu pushes him off. Valentine keeping the ball, tries to cross. However, the linesman on the near side, Jan Bergout, had raised that flag. And that ball is going to be returned to the Chicago Sting. I believe we're going to have a goal kick coming up, Roy, right off the bat. And it's a good thing that Mathieu could recover so quickly, because Valentine almost had one of those things.
Yeah, it's a goal kick. The linesman signaled a goal kick, so now we'll start all over again. A nice long one from Phil.
Phil drives it upfield. Practically no wind out here. Temperature in the mid-50s. Loose ball at the midfield. A header by Derek Spalding, captured by Buzz Parsons. Gets it to Alan Ball, their playmaker. Now to Carl Valentine on the near side. France Mathieu will be watching Valentine all night. Interception by Derek Spalding. Taken right back by Vancouver, but Brett Hall is there. Spalding to Mathieu. He comes to Ingo Peter, starting his second ball game tonight. Ingo's drive deep into the zone, deflected by Roger Kenyon. And the referee calling a foul against Vancouver.
Yeah, as Carl tried to get by Vancouver, he was grabbed. He raised his hand, and the referee saw it at the same time. So the Sting is going to get, it'll probably be a direct.
And for you fans watching soccer for the first time, in a direct free kick, the ball can go directly into the goal without being touched. On an indirect kick, somebody must touch it before it goes in. There's the drive by Granitza. Grab by the goalkeeper, Doug Harvey. Doug Harvey was the fellow who replaced Phil Parks, at least on the field here in Vancouver, but certainly not in the hearts of the fans. They're supportive of Doug Harvey, but thus far he's given up a lot of goals. He comes in with just over a goal and a half average per game compared to Parks at an average of a half a goal a game. The fans here are still waiting for Doug Harvey to really put it together. Finally, the ball is driven over to the far side, and the Vancouver Whitecaps have the ball. They're the defending champions, but they've had a rough start. 2 wins, 3 losses. The Sting, on the other end, a good start. 3 in a row before losing in that Philadelphia. Loose ball, Valentine gets it. He's quick. Taken away by Charlie Ficus. He gets it up to Carl Granitza. Granitza coming. He gets by John Cravens. Moves it over to Ingo Peter. Peter outside the penalty area. Takes a shot. Grabbed a bullet. Doug Harvey right in line.
In our Chicago goal, of course, tonight is Phil Parks. Our defenders, Rudy Glenn making his first start. France Mathieu, Dick Advocat, and Derek Spalding are defenders. Ingo Peter, Charlie Ficus, and Brett Hall in the middle. And our forwards tonight will be Russell, Karl-Heinz Granitza. Arno Steffenhagen has moved up forward because Jurgen Christensen still has that bad heel, right?
Right you are.
And in goal, of course, for Vancouver, David Harvey. In the back, Bob Lenarduzzi, John Craven, Kenyon, and Buzz Parsons. In midfield for Vancouver, Nelson, Ball, and Kember. And on the front line, Willie Johnston, Trevor Wymark, and Carl Valentine.
There's the action out in front of the Sting penalty area. Vancouver on the attack. A drive! Bob Lenarduzzi, and it's grabbed by Phil Parks.
You want to see that again. Here is the shot. It's a left shot, but Parks is there. He knows where the ball is going. He grabbed it. Not too much trouble.
All right, Brett Hall for Chicago, trying to move between three defenders. Alan Ball has it for Vancouver. He moves it up to Willie Johnston. Scottish World Cupper drops it back to Alan Ball. Ball came over to Vancouver in June of last year from Philadelphia, and he really was the spark plug to get this ball club not only into the Soccer Bowl, but a victory against Tampa Bay. And a foul now against Steve Kember, fouling Karl-Heinz Granitza, and the Sting is going to have another free kick.
Yeah, Carl, this is going to be an interesting matchup all night long between Carl and Kember, because Kember's grabbed him twice now, but he's been caught doing it.
The 35-yard lines and midfield stripes and the penalty areas are marked by sort of a maroon line on the old beaten-up AstroTurf. For those of you watching in black and white, it should represent a darker line. God pushes it over to Matthew. Franz Matthew, player of the month in April. Up to Carl Granitza, tries to go to Ingo Peter. Got it away by Roger Kenyon. Taken now by Carl Valentine. Valentine along the midfield stripe to the near side. He goes to Ball. Ball trying to push it up forward to Willie Johnson, but it goes out of bounds, and Roy going to have a throw in.
Yeah, and have you noticed how these Vancouver Whitecaps know how to play the AstroTurf? They play it beautifully. We, frankly, have got to get used to it.
Well, we had a chance, our first chance at AstroTurf last Wednesday night in Philadelphia, and of course in that downpour, it was no soccer match at all. We lost that one 1-0, our first loss. And let's see, on nice, dry, cool AstroTurf, even as bad a shape as it in, if we can do a little better. Brett Hall pushes it back. Dick Advocat playing sweeper back in the place of the injured Horst Blankenberg is in there. There's a good give and go by Peter. He's got Brett Hall. Brett Hall on the near far side of the penalty area. And the ball is driven out of bounds. It's going to be a throw-in for Chicago deep. Bob Leonarduzzi got back quickly and pushed that ball out. But a beautiful heading pass. Go Peter to Brett Hall. There's the throw-in. It comes to Ingo Peter again. Leonarduzzi on him. He comes back to Peter Russell. The cross is headed over the end line.
Now, this will be a corner. This will be a corner kick for Chicago. When a defender puts the ball behind his own goal line, the offensive team gets a corner kick. And so, this is our first good chance.
Peter Russell will take the corner kick from the far corner. The cross. There's a shot by Schevenhagen. Goes over the crossbar. Arnold taking that crossing pass from the corner by Peter Russell. Put it over the crossbar. It's going to be a goal kick coming up for Vancouver.
One of the things we're going to do at halftime tonight, we're going to have an interview with Phil Parks, but we're also going to try and show you some of the lineups for corner kicks and for the walls that we talk about in soccer. That's coming up later tonight.
39 minutes remaining in the first half. They played two 45-minute running time halves, no timeouts, except the referee deems it important, usually for an injury. Ball deep in Sting territory, but Derek Spaulding is there to get it to. Every time Phil touches the ball, there's a ripple of fan applause. He got a tremendous ovation when he was announced. Arno Schevenhagen. Schevenhagen bumped off the ball by Buzz Parsons. A foul called as Parsons just smacked into Arno. Free kick Chicago. Long lead to Rudy Glenn. This is perhaps your first look at this American youngster, the Sting's first-round draft choice out of the University of Indiana. Here's Granitza. Granitza is pushed off the ball. Referee says play on. Carl was trying to unwind that big left foot of his, Big Thunder. Ball is pushed out of bounds. It's going to be a throw-in for Chicago, and we'll be back with more Soccer 80 after this message.
While we were away for the commercial break, Rudy Glenn took down, I think it's Kenyon.
Roger Kenyon, right.
He was going after the ball. He missed the ball. Kenyon go. All right, here's the play. There's Rudy Glenn going into Kenyon. He was headed for the ball. It wasn't done on purpose. But I believe Kenyon
got the man.
Yeah, he sure. There was no yellow card. He did get a caution from the referee. And while they tend to the injured player on the field here in Vancouver, we'll take this break with more Soccer 80 coming up. Kenyon was okay after that injury timeout. Vancouver has a corner kick.
There's Cravens putting it into the penalty area. Goes up. He can't control it. It's a goal. John Cravens took that crossing pass, sailed high in the air, and put a high header. Phil Parks went up there. That goal will not count. They're watching out that goal.
You can watch it again if you want to, but there will be no goal. Here's the header.
On the header, Roy.
And now Phil goes up as high as he can go, but it's not high enough. But forget it, fans. It doesn't count anyway.
So the ball game scoreless with 36:46 to go in the half. First half, Still no score. Throw in for Vancouver. It comes back to Buzz Parsons. Roy, we looked at the linesman's flag. I didn't see any offsides waved on that, but perhaps there was. At any rate, Ingo Peter drives it back upfield, headed by Stuvenhagen, but is picked up over on the other side by Paul Nelson. Vancouver's Lenarduzzi now. And Bob Lenarduzzi was the only original member of the Vancouver Whitecaps when they joined the league. Here's Willie Johnson, a long crossing pass. Parks grabs this one. And this time, Big Phil Parks hangs on. He leaves it out to Charlie Fikens, the Wheaton wonder. Played his college ball at Indiana from Wheaton High School. And Brett Hall is shouldered off the ball by Buzz Parsons. Goes out of bounds, throw in Chicago. Yes, Rudy Glenn is out there. This will be your first look at Rudy in action.
You saw him for the first time in Philadelphia Wednesday night.
Yes, in that pouring rain. I think it was Rudy. In that rain, it's hard to tell.
I'm surprised you guys are all dried out.
Here's Peter Russell moving on Lenarduzzi. Here's Peter, still controlling outside the penalty area. Goes into Granitza. He is run off the ball by Paul Kember. Looking for the foul. No foul. And Paul Nelson now has it for Vancouver. Drives it back upfield for Willie Johnson. But Derek Spaulding is there. Bangs it away. Vancouver coming right back at their own 35-yard line. Whitecaps moving left to right. 35.5 minutes remaining in the half. No score. Carl Valentine now for Vancouver on the near side. Gets around Franz Matthew. Brett Hall, the flying tackle misses. Valentine, give and go. However, the ball rolling into the corner. They'll never get it in time. It rolls off the end line.
Boy, I tell you.
Goal kick for Chicago.
Matthew has really got his work cut out for him tonight. It's going to take him a little while to get used to his man into the AstroTurf. He's going to be a hard-working defenseman tonight.
No question about that. By the way, we want to remind you that the Chicago Sting has 2 new ticket plans that can save you money. Call 558-KICK for information. There's a telephone crew there waiting to help you and all the information you want. 558-KICK. Next home game for Chicago is going to be Saturday night, May 10th. And Roy, we take on the California Surf at Comiskey Park, Saturday night, May 10th at 7:30. It's going to be Amling's night in tribute to the moms. All the ladies there will be given beautiful flowers, compliments of animals.
There's a lot of grabbing going on down there. Hey, how about next Saturday night? You going to be home? We'll tell you more about that later. We got another direct kick.
Here's Dick Advocat, pushing it up to Carl Heitz-Granitz outside the 35. Gets around one. Goes it up to Hall, long lead. The ball is running on the AstroTurf. Hall trying to keep it in bounds. He does in the corner. Hall now, beautiful move on Parsons. He crosses, is broken up, however, by Kember. And the Vancouver Whitecaps again controlling. Alan Ball gives it back to the goalkeeper, Doug Harvey. And we've got Vancouver coming out of their zone.
This program is authorized under rights granted by the Chicago Sting solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, retelecast, or other use of the pictures and the descriptions and accounts of this event, including the imposition for viewing the program without express written consent of the Sting, is strictly prohibited. The announcers and the commentators of this telecast have been selected and arranged for by the Chicago Sting.
Now, when you say strictly prohibited, you mean strictly prohibited. There was an interference call on that goal. Michael Haggerty, the Sting's director of media information, came up there and said, we said there was no offsides, and that was the call. Interference against Vancouver. Now Arno Stuvenhagen in a run with Parsons along the Sting 35-yard line. Chicago moving right to left. No score. Just over 33 minutes remaining. He goes to the quick Peter Russell. The Flying Dutchman moving down the far side. He's picked up by Lenarduzzi. He's also got Allen Ball on him. He's double-teamed, trying to maneuver on the sideline. Throws it back to Fikas. Ball slides out of bounds. Kicked away by Vancouver. Throw in Chicago.
We might mention, too, Howard, that although there are standard signals for officials in soccer, not all officials use them. So sometimes it's a guessing game for us up here.
Well, they think them, Roy. They think them. You have to read their minds sometimes. At any rate, Allen Ball has. However, a foul has been called as Peter Russell was dumped on the far side. And the Sting is going to have a free kick, and Peter Russell comes up limping. Now the Sting already has Jorgen Christensen at home, and let's take a look, Roy.
Yeah, let's watch it again now. Here, all right, there's Peter's trying to get by. He's going after all right, here we go. There's the foul right here. It's a pushing foul, pushing from behind, but he also got him in the leg, and he's limping.
He's trying to shake it off as Dick Advocat crosses in the penalty area. Stuvenhagen's header toward the goal goes over the end line, wide to the far side. Goal kick coming up for Vancouver. With Jorgen Christensen out with a bad heel and Horst Blankenberg out with a bad knee, we can ill afford to lose another player.
Oh, indeed. Indeed.
The Sting will go from Vancouver back to Chicago tomorrow and then on to Atlanta for a rematch with the Atlanta Chiefs Wednesday night. That game will be brought to you on radio. And then it's home again to Comiskey Park Saturday night, May 10th against California. There's a dangerous play call coming up on Charlie Fikas. a little too high, and that's called a dangerous play, indirect free kick. They go to Johnson. Johnson is pushed down at the top of the box by Spaulding. No call. And finally, Hall boots it away. And I think we got away with something that time, Roy. Derek Spaulding really gave a shove to Willie Johnson. But Vancouver coming right back again. Here come the Whitecaps on the attack. Cross in front, broken up by Spaulding. Goes over the end line, and we have a corner kick coming up for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
A lot of action here tonight in beautiful Vancouver. It's been a beautiful day, by the way. There is no wind out here to speak of tonight, as you can tell from the lack of movement of the flags. And here's the corner.
Alan Ball crosses in front. Up goes Cravens. Broken up. Stevenhagen fighting for it. He gets it. Trying to beat Kember as he heads to the 35-yard line of Chicago to Granitza. Momentarily taken away by Kenyon. But Stevenhagen comes in to help out. He is put down by Cravens. And Granitza is screaming as Arno Stevenhagen is down on the ground.
All right, the referee. Yeah, he's calling time. He is asking for one of the Vancouver players to come over to him. Whether they're... I tell you, he's really furious. In fact, why don't we watch it, and maybe we can see why Carl is so mad. Now, here is the replay now. All right, this is why Carl is so mad. He just feels that it was an intentional putting down of a Sting player. Now, Dick Advocat is into the argument while they tend to Arno.
Ken Stiff is tending to Arno. No score in the ball game, and Soccer80 will continue after this.
Don't worry, they just got lucky.
Roy Leonard at Empire Stadium in Vancouver. No score in the match between the Sting and the defending champion Whitecaps. 30 minutes to go, and the Sting had a good attack going, but they were offsides. And Roy, I think we should tell the folks exactly what offsides is. Of course, they didn't get to see it. We were away from the spot. But...
Right. You must, if you have possession of the ball, there must be two defenders between you and the goal. You're offside.
At the time that ball is passed, right you are. Franz Matthew on the intercept for Chicago. Advocat trying to control. Gets it around Trevor Weimark over to Rudy Glenn. Gets it upfield to Granitza. Pushed away from him and out of bounds. A throw-in coming up for the Sting.
One of the ways that we have tried to explain an offside is to sometimes refer to it for you hockey fans as a moving blue line.
Beautiful.
You see, the line moves with the play.
There's a foul called on the field once again. While we were away for that spot, Roy and I were noticing a referee.
If you want to see the foul, there it is, by the way. Rudy Glenn tangling up
Willie Johnson
with Willie, but the foul was called on Willie because he got in front of Rudy, and it was more like a football block than anything else.
Well, we were saying before, the referee seemed to be booking a yellow card violation against John Cravens, yet we never saw him show Cravens the yellow card. They're going for Ingo Peter, broken up. Stevenhagen now, and to come in there, but it's taken away by Roger Kenyon and driven back. Almost lost, but kept on the line. Good movement that time by Leonard Ducey, and he drives it back upfield. He almost gave away a corner kick that time by losing the ball. Chicago trying to mount another attack. Rudy Glenn off to Ingo Peter on the far side. Back to Franz Matthew. Inside the 35-yard line, deflected on the foot of Bob Leonard Ducey. He is a native right here of Vancouver. Franz Matthew again. But nobody there except Buzz Parsons. Pushed it up to Kember. Steve Kember coming left to right for Vancouver. No score in the game. 28-12 to go. Kember is upended down on the Sting 35-yard line, and the referee is coming over to talk to Ingo Peter and kind of advise him.
There it is. That was Carl. Of course, he's mad over what they've been doing to him, so he thought he'd give him a little back, but he got caught doing it.
There's Leonard Ducey now inside the 35. He goes to Valentine. Matthew on Valentine to go to Leonard Ducey. A shot just misses the line. Give and go with Valentine and Leonard Ducey, Roy, and they made it look pretty good, didn't they?
They sure did. In fact, let's look at that shot, and you can see how these guys control the ball on this AstroTurf. And they're in the right position at the right time.
They know how to play it.
They sure do.
Tell you, the Chicago Sting knew they were going to have trouble Wednesday night in Philadelphia because it was their first game on turf. Of course, that field was so completely covered by water that it made it twice as difficult. Apparently not for Philadelphia, though. They won it. They beat us our first loss this year, 1-0. Sting wants to get back in winning ways. Memphis is playing at San Diego tonight. If the Sting should beat Vancouver and Memphis should lose, the Sting would have undisputed first place and 2 games at hand. Look at that Stevenhagen move. Arno deep in the attack zone, far side of the penalty area, picked up by Kember. Battle in the corner, and Arno very cleverly taps it off of Kember's chest. It's going out. And let's see how they rule that. A corner kick or a throw-in. Carl Granitza is going over to the corner, which makes me think, Roy, we may get a corner kick out of it.
Yep, that's what they're calling. It will be a Sting corner kick.
Charlie Ficus down to help out in case Carl wants to take a short corner. Carl's got that big thunder left foot. And the linesman down there saying he's got to play that ball in that designated area. There's the cross in front. Header, Stevenhagen, he missed it. Franz Matthew trying to control. Picked up by Cravens. Drives it back to Russell. Russell in the box. Russell's moving. Ball taken away. Nice move that time by Big John Cravens. 6 foot, 180-pound defender. You know, they tried to trade Cravens. They had a deal worked out with Minnesota, and then Cravens reminded them he had a no-trade clause in his contract. And that's why he's still in a Whitecap uniform.
Of course, the Whitecaps have had a lot of problems with player personnel, and, well, that's how we got our goalie.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, Phil's having a marvelous time tonight. That last miss by Vancouver, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but he patted one of the Whitecaps on the head after the miss.
Ingo Peter going to Peter Russell. Russell, a bicycle kick. Stevenhagen fight for control in the center circle. Pushes it back to Peter Russell. The ball runs a little on Peter, but he's still moving. Picked up by 2 defenders. Got Allen Ball. Drops it over to Ingo. Peter. Picked up by Cravens. His cross deflected by Cravens. Ingo Peter still fighting for it. Drives it along the sideline. Brett Hall is going to let it roll out, and let's see how they rule. That was a close one.
Yeah, he had to wait for it to roll out.
Fans aren't happy about that at all. Brett Hall took a chance that time. I thought it might have gone the other way.
It's like a bunt going down the third baseline and waiting for it to go out.
Little Brett Hall again to Ingo Peter. He tries the give and go. Deflected by Allen Ball, and Buzz Parsons is going to be another throw in for Chicago.
By the way, Craven did get a yellow card, by the way. We did not see the yellow card, but we saw the referee writing something down. But Craven was given a yellow card. As a matter of fact, you know, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll tell you now. Vancouver tied, I think, last year for yellow cards. Willie Johnson tied with Jim Steele of Washington for cards last year in the North American Soccer League.
Throw in goes to Ingo Peter. He tries the cross. It's kicked away by Cravens. Charlie Ficus there for Chicago. Lays it out to Brett Hall. Hall has a charging Carl. Valentine has Willie Johnson. Johnson moving inside the 35. Picked up by Spaulding. Makes him left. Goes back left. Shoots. Misses wide. Willie Johnson with a terrific move on that great setup by Valentine. Just missed wide.
Let's watch the move. Watch Willie go. And boy, he's got a lot of goal open, but he misses it by about 1.5 feet. And not much more than that. Phil had to go out to cut down the angle, and Willie went for the right corner, but he just missed it.
Willie was out for 2 games, and now you know why the Vancouver people are happy to have him back. Willie, a star with the World Cup team of Scotland. Phil Parks, former Vancouver Whitecap goalie, now in Chicago, drives it over to Stevenhagen, keeps it inbounds. Up to Dickey, up to Arno. Arno, lightning. Up to Brett Hall, cross field, going to Karl-Heinz Granitza. Parsons trying to run it down first, and he lets that ball roll out. Smart play by Parsons, throw in Vancouver. Parsons past John Cravens to the goalkeeper, Doug Harvey. I want to remind you folks, the Sting is going to be running 16 summer soccer camps this year. These are great week-long daytime camps held at 16 convenient suburban locations. They've done just a great job over the years. For more information, call Leslie James at 558-KICK tomorrow. That's Leslie James, 558-KICK. And while you're calling, find out about the great Chicago Sting group ticket discount plans for your organization, club. Sting has some terrific plans. Ask for Peter Rocky, 558-KICK. In fact, there's operators on duty now to give you some information. Here's Stevenhagen on the run. Stevenhagen has it tapped away, gets it back heel pass, looking for Granitza, but Carl was not cutting, nor was Ingo Peter.
Well, of course, Carl couldn't cut because he didn't want to get offside.
Right you are, Roy. For Weimar, pushes it up to Willie Johnson, back to Valentine. Counterattack by the Vancouver Whitecaps. They go to Kember. Kember laying it out to Johnson. Spaulding on him. Spaulding intercepts it and pushes it out of bounds. Throw in for Vancouver. Arno really almost had something going there a couple of seconds ago.
He sure did. I tell you, having to fill in for the missing Jorgen Christensen, of course, who has the bad heel. Horst Blankenberg, our sweeper, of course, is still lame. That's why Dick Advocat is up there in the back. They got their work cut out for them tonight. This is going to be a whale of a soccer game.
No question about that. We have reached the halfway point in the first half. Still no score. Vancouver looked like a goal, but it was way back for interference. Advocat on the intercept to Peter Russell. He puts it high. Karl-Heinz Granitza and Cravens go for it. Cravens wins it. Drives it off his ankle. But Rudy Glenn comes up off the back. Beautifully up Weimar. And that's exactly, Roy, what Willie Roy was looking for when he put Rudy Glenn in. But here comes Vancouver back in there. They go to Alan Ball, their playmaker. His pass cannot by Rudy Glenn.
Nice stop by Rudy Glenn with his back to the ball.
Sting's first-round draft choice, University of Indiana. Big Rudy stands 6'3". They get Brett Hall with a little bit of room. Here comes Brett Hall from Wheaton College. Picked up by Roger Kenyon. He lays it out to Granitza. Granitza has Bingo Peter coming. Bingo setting himself up. Fakes. He crosses. Oh, a shot on goal. Grabbed by Doug Harvey.
Did you notice the curve on that ball? In fact, let's watch it if we can. Watch the curve, watch the spin. What he wants to do is to curve it and catch the goalie going in the wrong direction.
But Doug Harvey played it perfectly, and now a pass into Carl Valentine, broken up by Crazy Glue, France Matthew. Vancouver counterattacking once again with the throw-in. They go to Valentine, a nice move to get around Matthew. Valentine trying to cross, but Matthew, the great tackle. Beautiful tackle by France Matthew, stopping the cross, but it goes over the end line. We're having a corner kick.
Yeah, the linesman was right there. He said it went over the end line. Here's the corner kick for Vancouver.
Alan Ball, he is a dangerous, dangerous man. It's a short corner. Goes to Valentine, back to Ball. Ball the long, high cross, looking for Cravens again, but Rudy Glenn was there. Rudy Glenn able to get high in the air, pushed it over the end line, and we're having another corner kick.
Boy,
Vancouver.
Putting that 6'2", 175-pound young man in there was a smart move on Willie's part tonight.
No question about it. They need his size. Corner kick coming up. The cross going out in front. Up goes Craven. And Weimark. Matthew heads it high in the air, and Phil Parks finally comes down with it. Trevor Weimark went high that time. Matthew helping out on the line, and Phil Parks getting it.
Here, let's watch that corner kick again. There it goes, way up. Phil almost gets caught out of position. In fact, he is out of position right now. And luckily for us, is that Derek who went? No, that was Matthew. That was France Matthew who got up there to keep the ball in the air. That was a little close.
You betcha. Roger Kenyon moving the ball from left to right inside the Sting 35-yard line. Here comes Vancouver. There's a drive toward the goal. Headed away by Matthew once again. Now you know why he was Player of the Month in April in Chicago.
He's everywhere.
What a find, Mr. Crazy Glue.
Come see him next Saturday night at Comiskey Park.
You're right, Roy. Tickets on sale, of course, at the Sting office, 333 North Michigan. You can get ticket information by calling right now, 558-KICK. But ticket to all Chicago Sting home games at Ticketron outlets. Brett Hall with it. Gets by Ball. He goes to Russell. Russell is picked up by Cravens. Good move on John. Here comes Peter on the move. He goes down. Referee says play. No, he's going to call the foul.
Yeah, it's
Referee
interesting.
Is calling the foul.
Yeah, he raised his hands as referees often do. And in fact, here, let's take a look at it right now. There's Peter running with the ball. He tries to go by the Vancouver defender. And now there's a lot of discussion going on down in front of us. I'm not sure what the discussion is all about. In fact, we're getting a throw-in.
Yes, his original signal was played to it, and the ball was pushed out of bounds. So the referee did rule play on. Here's Steffenhagen in the corner. Steffenhagen pushes it to Russell. Russell is dumped once again. This time the referee is going to call the foul against Cravens. Cravens is staying with Peter Russell every step of the way.
All right, here, you can watch this one if you want to. From the end zone camera, there's Peter being taken down. That's why the Sting will now get a direct kick. That means if Carl can put it in the goal, it's a goal.
Two-man wall for Vancouver, and we'll be talking about that wall at halftime. Carl Granitza will take it. He curves it out in front. Header!
That's
it! The Chicago Sting has gone into the lead. Arno Steffenhagen, his second goal of the year.
Oh, what a beautiful setup.
Wow, Roy, what a great goal.
All right, here, let's watch it now. This was a direct kick. There's Carl with the left foot. He kicks it towards the middle. Arno, look at out of nowhere. Steffenhagen hits it right into the goal, right past the Vancouver goalie, and the Sting lead. What a happy man. These two, Carl hasn't been able to score a goal this year, but now he gets a very important assist. That's Arno's second, and ooh, that's good.
You folks out there, the Channel 9 viewing audience, this may be one of the few times you hear the implacable Roy Leonard get very excited.
Oh, I'd like to get the first goal, I'll tell you. It's important.
And what a beauty it was. The goalkeeper, Harvey, had to follow Carl Granitza's ball because it was bending.
Sure.
And he took himself to the far post, and here came lightning, Arno Steffenhagen, to pump it in.
In fact, that was so pretty. Do you mind if I look at it again? I'd like to share it with everybody. Carl hits it with his left foot. It bends. There's Arno coming in. A beautiful header.
What a combination of thunder and lightning. Big Thunder Granitza setting it up with the free kick, and lightning Arno Steffenhagen. That's the second time this year they've cooperated on a goal with Carl setting up Arno. And we're back here at Empire Stadium in Vancouver with 16:59 to go in the first half. The Sting leading 1-0. Phil Parks. What an ovation he got when they hit him on the field. Phil was a little concerned that maybe some of the fans wouldn't be so kind, but Roy, they really gave him quite a reception.
We'll talk to Phil at halftime, by the way. I talked to him before we left Chicago. You'd be interested in what he has to say.
Here's Alan Ball. Ball leading to Willie Johnson. He made a nice back heel pass looking for somebody, but there was nobody there but black and yellow Chicago Sting, and of course the blue uniform Phil Parks. And Roy, it may be a good idea right now, while we have a chance, to mention that the goalkeepers in soccer wear different color uniforms. Phil Parks, for example, is in blue, and Doug Harvey is in red. And that's because they can touch the ball within the penalty area,
right.
And the referees and linesmen have to know who's doing all the touching with their hands.
An all-important rule in soccer, the goalies must wear a color completely different from either team. In fact, there he is now, the Vancouver goalie, in his bright red
That's David
jersey.
Harvey. I think I've called him Doug Harvey, Roy, and it seems to me that Doug Harvey was quite an outstanding hockey player.
All right, we'll correct it.
And when you're in Vancouver, you do not mix up hot soccer players. All right, here comes Vancouver back on the attack. They go to Carl Valentine. He's quick, tries to push it through. Dickie Advocat is there, sweeping up for Chicago. To Carl Granitza. He's got Alan Ball to beat. 15.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Sting leading 1-0. Peter Russell for Chicago. Marked by Leonard Ducey. Comes to Ingo Peter. Back to Dick Advocat at the midfield stripe. Out to Charlie Ficus, being hounded by Trevor Wymark. Goes over to the far side to Peter Russell instead. Russell double team, Willie Johnson on him. Comes to Derek Spalding. Here comes Derek. 35-yard line. Goes to Stevenhagen. Lets it go for Granitza. However, Carl couldn't quite get there, and Alan Ball picks it up. He goes to Valentine. Valentine on a race. Valentine has beaten Matthew. Valentine near side of the penalty area. He crosses. Picked up. Back to Valentine. Carl Valentine went one against Matthew again, and Matthew now. Carl Valentine had Leonard Ducey, and Leonard Ducey couldn't find the trigger to get that shot away, and now it's going to be a corner kick.
The only thing that France could do was to push it behind our own goal line. So here's the corner.
It's a short corner. Comes to Parsons. But the linesman says he's got to do it again. Meanwhile, time continues to tick away. 14:30 to go in the half. Sting leading 1-0. A go-ahead goal by Arno Stevenhagen. Alan Ball puts it up to Valentine again. Matthew takes it away. And the Sting battling in its own zone. Stevenhagen up to Advocat. And as Advocat works it over to Stevenhagen, they look for Russell, go instead to Advocat. Dickey coming up from his sweeper spot at midfield. Tries to go through Buzz Parsons. He's there to intercept. Sting leading 1-0. And we'll return with more Sting action. Soccer Radio returns after this word.
Racing our way. Where else in this world could finding out who's number one so much fun?
Here's to you, you're the fun.
Sting leading 1-0, and we got the stat on that goal.
Yes, indeed. Stevenhagen's goal, assist by Granitza at 26:45 of the first half here at Empire Stadium. By the way, we'll be picking a Lipton Tea offensive and defensive player of the game. Something to look forward to while we watch first half action with 12 minutes and 30 some odd seconds to go, and a direct kick for the Sting.
Dickie Advocat will take it. Remember, Roy's halftime guest tonight on tape, Phil Parks, is going to receive a very handsome Bauman Mercier watch, courtesy of Henry K. Jewelers in the Water Tower place. Stevenhagen to Granitza. Carl trying to get loose, puts a shot on goal, but David Harvey is there to gobble it up.
Disappointed Peter Russell over here on the left side saying, hey, I was here all alone. Why didn't you give me the ball? I look at that man every time I see him. I figure 34, 35 years old, and he's down that side like
you do, Roy. Action resumes.
No comment.
Vancouver's Cravens goes off to the far side. He's got Kember. Steve Kember on the 35. Drops it back. Vancouver now on the attack. They move it into Valentine. Give and go back over to Willie Johnson. Johnson, the bicycle kick high in the air in the penalty area. Headed away by Matthew. Captured back by Kember. Vancouver now. Kember puts it to Cravens. Cravens tries to lay it inside. They give it back to Cravens, but little Brett Hall is there to intercept. He comes to Peter Russell. Look at Peter go, making a run up the near sideline. He's picked up by Parsons. He overleads Hall, but Granitza's there. Granitza out in front. He shoots. Oh, it goes wide off to the far side. Karl-Heinz Granitza got under that ball and drove it to the far side. Goal kick coming up. The score, Chicago 1, Vancouver 0. And Soccer Radio will continue in a moment. Vancouver at the midfield stripe. Whitecaps moving left to right. They're wearing white jerseys, blue numerals and trim, blue pants, Sting in black and yellow. Now Carl Valentine, who's done a sensational job for Vancouver, comes to Lenarduzzi again, headed away. Ingo Peter heads that ball away. The ball rolls over the midfield stripe and is picked up by John Cravens. He comes to Alan Ball. Ball trying to drive it forward. He's got Trevor Weimark. And as Weimark tries to go to Lenarduzzi, the ball sails over Lenarduzzi. Said it goes over the sideline. And they're saying it was deflected off of a Chicago Sting player. It's a throw-in for Vancouver. And they come to Valentine. Matthew gets his foot in the way, intercepts. But there's a cross by Valentine. Spalding misses the intercept, but Steffenhagen's there. Arno, the captain, scored the go-ahead goal. Goes up to Karl-Heinz Granitza, back to Arno Steffenhagen. They got Peter Russell now, up with Charlie Ficus. Brett Hall has moved up to an attack position, still controlling. Arno Steffenhagen back to the goalkeeper, Phil Parks. 9:23 to go in the first half. Sting ahead by 1. Charlie Ficus tries to go to Ingo Peter, but the ball is won by Vancouver. Kemper, and we're getting a dangerous play call on France Matthew. He showed too much cleat that time, and an indirect kick will come up.
Watch very closely. Watch the height of his foot. This is what constitutes a dangerous play. If he raises his foot as he did above his waist, and there is a man that close to him, the referee will call a dangerous play, and here we are live.
And there was the indirect. They tapped it to Parsons. Parsons crosses, headed away by Brett Hall. Right on the foot of Charlie Ficus. Up he comes to quick Peter Russell. The Sting goes to Atlanta Wednesday night, then returns home after this 3-game road trip to play California Saturday night, May 10th. Here's Peter Russell. He crosses, broken up by Vancouver. Good move that time by Lenarduzzi, and finally comes back into the arms of the goalkeeper, David Harvey.
In fact, how about it, fans? Next Saturday night, we're playing the California Surf at Comiskey Park. Join us at 7:30. The parking is easy. It's a great place to watch soccer. We'll see you there 1 week from tonight when we come home.
And remember, the Sting number for ticket information is 558-KICK. That's 558-KICK, and there's operators on duty right now to answer your questions about Chicago Sting soccer.
In fact, I sat in what would be the right field stands the other night for the last home game, and it's beautiful out there.
Seat? Oh, sensational. You feel like you're in the game.
You sure did.
Battle for the ball in the Sting zone. Rikas working with it. Charlie being hounded by 2 Vancouver Whitecaps, Willie Johnson and Bob Lenarduzzi. Can't control it. It goes out of bounds. A throw in for Vancouver. Clock shows 7:45 to go, but the Whitecaps now are threatening, and Willie Johnson will throw that ball in. He's got Weimark and Valentine in the penalty area. And now Cravens, Big John at 6 foot, and Kenyon both come in to join him. Comes back to Lenarduzzi. He has to give ground back to the 30 line. His pass broken up by Charlie Ficus to Arno Steffenhagen. Lightning moving over the Sting 35. He tries to go back to Rudy Glenn, broken up by Kemper. Steve Kemper, but Glenn comes back. Gets that ball to Karl Granitza. To the near side of the field, Peter Russell. Russell has Ingo Peter overlapping on the near side. Drops it back, goes beyond Brett Hall. But little Brett, 5'7", 148 pounds. Who says little guys can't play pro sports? Brett Hall's pass goes beyond Derek Spalding, and here comes Willie Johnson on the attack. Picked up by Rudy Glenn. Johnson now lays it out on the far side to Lenarduzzi. Keeps the ball in bounds. There's the cross. Header. Score! Vancouver, the Whitecaps have tied it up. It was Trevor Weimark who scored 2 goals in the Super Bowl, Soccer Bowl last year, and he tied it up.
Here's a look from the sideline. There, up comes the ball. Weimark gets his head up. And again, Phil has to keep his eye on the ball, but there was no time to get over to cover the right-hand side of it. So at about with 6:45 left, Vancouver ties it up here at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, British Columbia. 1-1 in the first half. The Chicago Sting on WGN television. There's the guy who scored the goal.
Trevor Weimark, that's his 2nd goal of the year, and he is really tough. He got 2 goals against Tampa Bay in the Soccer Bowl last year to win it for Vancouver. And now we're all tied at 1. They try to push the ball through. Broken up by Alan Ball. Less than 6 minutes to go now in the first half. Sting and Vancouver all tied at 1. 2 great goals, both on headers. One by Arno Steffenhagen, one by Trevor Weimark. Ball now pushes it over. There comes Kemper. Kemper gives it back to Lenarduzzi, overlapping on the far side. He's the one that set it up before with that good cross. Kicked away from him by Spalding. Taken back. Crossed in to Brett Hall's intercepting header up to Peter Russell. Here comes Peter on a run. He's got Steffenhagen on the near side. Granitza on the far side. He gives it to Granitza. Trying to go to Russell, but the goalkeeper tries to get it, loses control, and finally it's pushed back to him, to Alan Ball. Ball lays it up to the 35. We almost had Peter Russell breaking through. But almost doesn't count, and Trevor Weimar gets it back for Vancouver, and the Whitecaps on the attack. 5:12 to go in the half. Kember with it, just outside the 35. It comes to Willie Johnson, tackled away nicely by Spaulding, but Vancouver in position. Alan Ball, Brett Hall on Alan Ball. Hall, the good tackle, but a foul has been called, and it's going to be a free kick for Vancouver outside the Sting 35-yard line.
Brett Hall, as he went after the ball, got the man. That's why they get their kick. There's the goal again. I don't want to see that again. Don't show that again.
Here's Vancouver on the attack. There's a cross, and the header goes off to the near side. Ballon trying to run it down. Matthew on him. Matthew puts him down. Battle for the ball. Matthew comes up with it. However, he is going to award a free kick to Vancouver as Trans Matthew put Valentine down.
The Sting is arguing because it was really the linesman who made the call. In fact, we'll watch it again. The linesman made the call because the referee was shielded from the play. But it is going to be a direct anyway.
Direct free kick coming up for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Dangerous spot outside the Sting penalty area near side. Valentine and Ball standing near the ball. Two-man wall for Chicago. Russell and Steffenhagen. Referee is waving them back. They must give the free kicker 10 yards. Here's Valentine leaving it for Alan Ball. He crosses, and it's grabbed by Phil Parks. Sting's out of danger. Game tied at 1-1, and Soccer Radio will continue after this word. A corner kick coming up for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Another Whitecap attack. Derek Spaulding was able to break it up, but in doing so, pushed that ball in line. And Roy, we got another dangerous spot coming with under 3 minutes to go in the half.
We're going to talk a little bit about these corner kicks at halftime, which will be coming up in a few minutes.
Willie Johnson takes it. There's the cross. They go up in the air. Header toward the goal, and Phil Parks grabs it. Big Phil stretches that 6'3" frame up in the air.
In fact, if you want to watch that again, here we go. Ball goes up, and so does Phil. Boy, he has to get up there, too.
Here's Peter Russell now, working on Paul Nelson. Drives one toward the top of the penalty area, headed away by Buzz Parsons right to the goalkeeper. We have 2:20 to go in the half. Sting and Vancouver tied at 1. Don't go away. We got a very interesting halftime and then a super second half of soccer.
That goal came at 38:08, by the way, Weimark, and Johnston and Leonard Doozy both get assists on the Vancouver goal.
Vancouver now controlling at the midfield. Ball goes to Valentine. Franz Matthew on Valentine, and Franz heads that ball over line. Last man that touches the ball goes to the other team, much like in basketball. So a throw in, two hands high over the head, equal pressure on the ball. Both feet must be on the ground. There's the throw in. They're going to Valentine, and it's a running on the AstroTurf and sliding over the end line. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago since the ball was last touched by the attacking team. Our next Sting telecast is going to be Saturday evening, June 28th. Roy and I will be up in the Met in Bloomington, Minnesota, when the Sting takes on the Minnesota Kicks, and you can bet the Kicks want a little revenge for that Sting defeat that was pasted on them.
They sure do. That'll be an exciting game, and don't forget, we'll see you next Saturday night at Comiskey Park, too. All right, we've only got a minute 17 seconds left. Score is tied here in Vancouver.
Parks drives that ball over Ingo Peter's head, headed by Kember. Peter Russell trapping the ball, trying to move around, and he does. Peter trying to get a little room, but he's fouled. An illegal shoulder charge by Leonard Doocy, and the Chicago Sting will have a free kick with now the clock showing less than a minute to go in the half. It's been a very steady, when you're looking at good technical soccer, what a difference compared to the hatchet job Philadelphia did on the Sting in their reign at the Veterans Stadium. There's a drive toward the penalty area, headed away, right back to Leonard Doocy of Vancouver. He comes to the near side. Alan Ball is there. Across midfield, picked up by Brett Hall. He comes to Willie Johnson. Johnson controlling, Spaulding on him. Derek able to push that ball out over the sideline. 25 seconds remaining in the half. Vancouver in control, deep in the Sting zone. Clock continues to run. There's no timeouts in soccer unless called by the referee on injury. Comes now to Ball, kicked away by Brett Hall. 10 seconds left, but Vancouver's going to have a corner kick. 9, 8, 7. They put it down. Alan Ball will take the corner kick. There's the cross, 3 seconds left, and it goes on top of the goal, and that is going to be it for the end of the first half. The score, Chicago Sting 1-1. We'll be back with the halftime activities after this.
2.5 very good years there, and I've got a lot of friends there, and we still keep in touch. You know, I'm very friendly with Willie Johnson. He'll be playing on Saturday. He just had a 2-game suspension, and I'm looking forward to meeting him again, you know.
Now, what do you think the crowd reaction will be when Phil Parks is introduced?
I don't really know. I hope it's very favorable, like, but you know, when I was there, they were very good to me, like, you know, and I would hope that they would be the same when I go back.
Phil, in American baseball, when a guy's traded, he wants to come up and hit a home run against the team that traded him. The fullback wants to make a touchdown against the football team that traded him. What do you want to do tonight in Vancouver?
I would like to go, you know, have a shutout, like, and but I think the main thing is that for the Chicago Sting to win. You know, I'd be very happy, you know, just to win.
Now, will it be a little bit easier for you having once played for this team?
I don't really think so, because they've got a lot of new players now. You know, the team has changed considerably in the last few months, you know, since I've left. So, you know, I don't think it makes any difference, really. You know, to me, you know, really, it's, although it's something special, it's just another game, and, you know, we just go out there and play.
Will you prepare for tonight's game any different than you have prepared for any other game, even psychologically?
No. Well, you know, psychologically, I try not to. You know, I just try and do the same things I always do.
There was an article in one of the Chicago papers this week about the fact that you continually talk to your defenders, you continually talk to the men around you. Does this pose any problems because of the many different languages that are spoken among all the members of this and a lot of other teams?
I don't think so. You know, I think that we communicate pretty good. You know, I think soccer is a, you know, a game, and, you know, I think soccer players communicate pretty good, really.
I just hope that the second half of tonight's game will be as exciting as the first half. And we've had a chance to get some reactions tonight from Phil Parks in the goal for the Chicago Sting, and there'll be a lot more halftime action and an exciting second half coming up in just a few minutes.
Imagine a car that got this evaluation.
Once, while Vancouver has been called for no offside.
One thing that does not appear on that stat sheet is that the only yellow card of the game was given to John Cravens of Vancouver in the first half. On a yellow card, for those of you who really aren't that familiar with rules, the yellow card is a direct caution for a flagrant violation. If you get 2 yellow cards, you're automatically ejected, and your team cannot substitute for you. They just have to play shorthanded. Or you can just bypass yellow cards completely and do something really bad and get a red card, and then it's boom. In either case, there's a fine and a suspension, and it just isn't a good thing, and Cravens is going to have to watch himself.
That's right. And as you can tell, the way this game started off tonight, there was a lot of close contact. This usually happens in a soccer game. The players are feeling each other out. How much can we get away with? We don't know how the referee... There's Willie Roy, by the way, pacing back and forth along the sidelines. He sure loved to see that first goal that Arno Steffenhagen put in on a header from Karl-Heinz Granitza, but he did not like that goal that came late in the first half to tie this game up. Of course, we are playing on AstroTurf. The Sting at Comiskey Park and at Wrigley Field play on regular grass, and we're underway, Howard.
Second half has started with Vancouver kicking off this time. The Whitecaps moving from your right to your left. Sting, of course, going the other way, defending that north goal, going left to right. Ball tapped out. Last touch by Steffenhagen is going to be a throw-in for Vancouver. That 7-2 difference in corner kicks is really reflective of the way the Vancouver Whitecap forwards know how to play this AstroTurf, and they do make some great moves. Valentine and Johnson are tremendously dangerous, and they are forcing the ball quite a bit down on the Sting end. The Sting is getting a couple of opportunities, but Vancouver really having the better of it on the attack. There's a drive coming toward the Sting penalty area, headed away by Dick Advocat up toward Karl Granitza. He heads it back, but France Matthews is going to have to battle for it, can't get to it, and Kember puts it back to the Sting 35. Rudy Glenn is there. Vancouver, the ball, working that ball deep into the Sting zone. Another tackle by Matthew, pushes that ball out. Good clean tackle by France Matthew. He dumped Buzz Parsons, and the Vancouver Whitecaps' Alan Ball will throw the ball in deep in the Sting zone on the far side. Going just underway in the second half. Sting and Vancouver locked at 1. Brett Hall overruns the ball. Vancouver gets it back, but Steffenhagen pushes it out beyond the 35-yard line. Hall had room to move out, but he overran it. And now the Whitecaps on the attack. They go to Willie Johnson. Foot race with Derek Spalding. He crosses. Parks drops the ball, grabs it again. Phil Parks came out quick as a cat to get his hand on the ball. Couldn't hold it, but is able to get it back.
Here's a look at that save by Phil. Up he goes, but he doesn't get complete control of the ball. Luckily, there's a Sting player right in front of him, and he fell down on it fast.
Sting still having trouble on the AstroTurf. Stevenhagen drops it back for Karl-Heinz Granitza. Big Thunder with it, challenged by Kenyon. And the ball is driven over the sideline, and they're going to say it was last touched by Karl-Heinz.
Karl is going to think he's going to take it, but he's in for a surprise.
No, he didn't fight it too much, so Karl must know it kind of brushed him as it went out of bounds. Throw-in coming up for Vancouver. Roger Kenyon, tough defender, 6-footer, 180 pounds. In fact, his dimensions exactly the same as his center back mate, John Cravens. Dickie Advocat is there to intercept that pass. He pushes it up into the stands. They're going to throw that ball back. Soccer balls aren't like baseballs, Roy.
No.
There's for the fans. In fact, you try, every pro soccer team across the world tries to finish the game with the same ball they started with. Throw-in coming into Valentine, kicked away by France Matthew. But it goes over the end line, and we're going to have a corner kick. Corner kick number 8 coming up for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Well, that speed, I tell you, it's very evident here how fast Vancouver is. It's a short corner, and there's a shot.
Broken up by Karl Granitza. Stevenhagen awaits it at the 35. He had Nelson to beat. He pushed it off of Nelson out of bounds. It's going to be a throw-in. They're going to give it to the Sting, as well they should. Last touch by Vancouver. Dickie Advocat is going to leave it for Brett Hall. Neither side has made a substitution. The Sting up front has Peter Ressel, Karl Granitza, Arno Stevenhagen. In the midfield, they have Brett Hall. They have Ingo Peter and Charlie Ficus on the back line. Derek Spalding, Dick Advocat, Franz Matthew, and Rudy Glenn and Phil Parks in the goal.
That was a smart defensive play. When you kick the ball off of the man who had control of it and a throw-in, as Vancouver just did.
Nelson for the Whitecaps in his own zone. Beats it up over the midfield stripe, tries to get it back. Peter Ressel is able to cut it off, but he pushes it out. Bob Lenarduzzi throws it in. He goes back to Nelson. Drops it back to Big John Cravens.
I know you mentioned before that Lenarduzzi is the only original member of the Whitecaps left. His brother's on this team, and he's got a third brother who plays soccer, too.
Quite a family. Peter Ressel goes up to Karl-Heinz Granitza at the midfield. Granitza is pushed down by Craven. Karl holding his right knee. And Cravens trots back into position.
Let's look at that. I think there's going to be a yellow card. We'll see in a moment. But here's the foul. Now, that is really a deliberate foul. There is no need for that rough action. Once you know that the man has stopped, there's no sense in going in.
Dickie Advocat is complaining to the referee that that should be the second yellow card for Cravens, and he should be out of there. In the meanwhile, Ken Stiff, the trainer, is working on Karl Granitza. We're tied at 1 in early going second half, and Soccer 80 will continue after this message. Ball pushed out over the end line, Roy.
I just want to mention that Craven did not get a yellow card. Everybody thought he should, including Willie Roy, but the referee ignored all the protests, and now we're back in action. There's the score, by the way. There are about 30 minutes left in the second half, and Seattle is leading San Jose 3-0.
Attempted free kick broken up. There's a drive. Brett Hall breaks it up. It's headed right back into the box. Franz Matthew pushed it out. Lenarduzzi is there. Loose ball headed away by Spalding, and there's a shot goes over the crossbar. It's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. San Jose is on its way to its 5th straight defeat. Their coach this year, former Chicago Sting head coach of a few years back, Bill Folks. Looks like Seattle has that game in hand.
Here's another score. Tampa Bay is leading Portland in the second half, 1-0.
That's a tough one, just like the tough one we have here, all tied at 1 with under 40 minutes to go in the ball game.
And no score between Tulsa and Los Angeles in the second half.
Derek Spalding gives the ball back to Phil Parks, out to Franz Matthew. Here's one we want to look at.
Yeah, that's important for us. No score, Memphis, San Diego. They are in the second half. If Memphis can lose and we can win,
we'll be at first. Memphis has a 4-point lead, but we do have 2 games in hand, and that'll stay that way after tonight. The ball was driven deep into the Vancouver zone.
Carl, you know, Granitza, let's give him credit. He ran up all the way with that ball, and he's had a frustrating season so far. He hasn't scored a goal. The Sting's leading goal scorer here in our young career. He's had a couple of excellent assists, but I know he wants to score so bad.
Well, this is his 5th game, Roy. His longest dry spell without a goal is 5 games in a row. Dickie out Chicago sweeps that ball up to Stevenhagen. Beautiful move to keep it in bounds. Arno Stevenhagen, who has the Sting's only goal, on a great assist from Granitza, loses control as he tries to go to Ficus. Allen ball goes to Lenarduzzi. Here's Lenarduzzi crossing on in front. And the ball is through the crease as Valentine assumed he had a helpmate coming up from the side. He just let the ball go through without taking the shot, but nobody was there.
I think he tried a little heel kick. Watch very closely. See, he tried a little heel kick, but there was no center forward to come up behind and kick the ball in. Aren't we glad?
Boy, I guess that one had goal written all over it. The ball is driven now to David Harvey in the Vancouver nets. He comes to the near side.
We haven't ever talked about a heel kick before. You know, a player can kind of overrun a ball, but tap it with his heel to the man running up behind him. They often try to do that.
Here's Johnson, but can't beat Advocat. Pushes it up to Stevenhagen. Gets around Kember. Taken away by Allen Ball to Paul Nelson. Nelson gives ground back to Roger Kenyon. All the halftime guests of the Sting, as Phil Parks will. We will receive a handsome Bauman Mercier watch from Henry K. Jewelers. 2 locations, Water Tower Place and North Michigan Avenue. Chicago back on the attack. Stevenhagen tries to go to Granitza, but Carl was breaking left and Arno went right. A drive into the Sting zone, headed away by Spalding. Taken back by Ball. Ball to Valentine, trying to put a move on Matthew. The crowd cheered and a foul call. Or will they just award that as a throw-in?
No, it's, by the way, you want to see a heel kick? Watch very closely. There's a heel kick, fans, but also a little bit of shoving by Matteo. That's what, there he is. See, there was an obstruction foul. That's what the direct kick was all about.
Valentine trying to go deep into the Sting attack zone to Nelson, but Nelson was on the ground and inadvertently pushed out of bounds. Here's Vancouver coming back. Here's Kenyon. Kenyon getting around Ingo Peter. He takes a shot on the hop. Phil Parks right there. Johnny on the spot. 48 to go in the ball game. We're tied at 1. Both goals came in the first half. Arno Stevenhagen for the good guys. Trevor Weimark for the defending champion Vancouver Whitecaps.
We got a sellout crowd here at Empire Stadium in Vancouver tonight, fans. There are over 30,000. They have had, there's a lot of soccer interest. At halftime, we had, must have been about 300 or 400 young high school players parading around here.
Vancouver working the ball in their end, half of the midfield. They try to push it forward to Parsons. Here's the give and go, and a drive headed toward Willie Johnson. Broken up by Spalding, but they go back to Johnson. Johnson has Matthews to beat. Matthews dumps it, and referee, let's see what happens. Phil Parks comes out to talk to Willie Johnson. The referee is now coming down there to make sure that no battle breaks up. We're going to have to wait for the call. Johnson and Matthew went down. Matthew is still down on the ground.
Let's look and see what happens now. They're both going after the ball. Actually, neither player has control. Matthew falls, and I believe the Vancouver player fell over him.
France Matthew is on the ground. Sting trainer working on him. The score tied at 1, and we'll have more Soccer 80 in just a moment. France Matthews okay. Bob Lenarduzzi of Vancouver drives the ball deep into the Sting zone. Phil Parks is there.
On that play that we watched in slow motion where Matteo went down, Willie Johnson was given the foul. No yellow card or anything. It was just a foul, an obstruction or a tripping, and we got a direct kick.
Foul call now against Vancouver. And Parsons is saying that Carl Granitza should have had the foul. The referee says absolutely not. So the Chicago Sting is going to have a free kick 30 yards away from the Vancouver goal.
Might explain, when 2 soccer players go up for the same ball, if they both go up straight, if they both go up vertically, there's no foul call. But if one man leans in, the foul's called on him, and that's just what happened. And here's Carl's direct kick.
For Vancouver, they've got Ball and Kember on the wall. Carl Granitza comes into the ball. He drives it forward. It is deflected by the wall, and it goes over the end line. Sting will have a free kick. That bounced off of Kember's knee and skidded off to the right. Carl tried to bend it, Royal, as you were showing in the halftime clinic. Tried to bend it around that last man, but Kember did get his knee on it. Sting has a corner kick, though, since it was last touched by Vancouver before it went over the end line. Peter Russell will take the corner kick. It's crossed in front. Up goes Carl Granitza, but the ball is won by Craven, and it sails over the end line. Stingel should have another corner kick.
Yeah, they will, because he caught the ball in the air, and his own man put it up there, so we'll just go to the other side. And here's Carl again. And the linesman tells him again he's got to move it back into that. There's a little triangle, and that's where the ball has to sit.
This is the role normally taken by Jorgen Christensen, who's been injured the last couple of games. There's the cross again. Matthew on the header, but he can't get there. Broken up by Parsons. Comes back to Brett Hall. Hall puts it back inside again. Ingo Peter. Peter drops it back to Matthew. Matthew to Granitza looking for the left-footed shot. He takes it, grabbed by the goalkeeper, David Harvey, and booted out of danger. Carl got Big Thunder left foot on it that time. They come up to Weimark. Glenn on Weimark. Trevor Weimark fighting for it. He drops it back. Here comes Vancouver on the attack now. Ball pushed back to Parsons. They're crossing, looking for Weimark, and he misdirects the header. There's a break for Chicago. Trevor Weimark, who has Vancouver's lone goal, misdirects the header over the end line.
Let's watch it. You'll see. See, he's off balance. Weimark is off balance. That's why he can't twist his neck around and get the ball into the goal. It's a good attempt at a header by Weimark, however, and we're going to get a goal kick.
Sting has a couple of new ticket plans that can save you money. Call 558-KICK. That's 558-KICK for information. Operators on duty now to explain some of these great plans. If you don't want to call tonight, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, talk to Rocky or Pete, 558-KICK, and they'll tell you about some of the great ticket discount plans and group discount plans. Really, Distinct has ways to let you enjoy soccer and save money at the same time. It's Rocky or Pete, 558-KICK. Okay, Vancouver on the charge again. Valentine tries to cross. Willie Johnson, grabbed by Parks, knocked away, and Peter Russell is going to get that ball. A dangerous crossing pass. Johnson and Parks on the duel. Parks won it, fortunately for Chicago. And now the ball headed out of bounds.
Let's watch that pass again and watch Phil battle Willie now. Watch him go up. Oh, isn't it nice to have 6 feet 3 inches of muscle up there?
And Derek Spaulding helping out there, too. He got his little body in there. He goes to Brett Hall over his head. Schevenhagen has it. Schevenhagen triple team. Tries to get a shot on goal. Couldn't get anything on it. David Harvey grabs it. You know, we're speaking of the Sting coming back home next Saturday night, May 10th, against the California Surf at Comiskey Park. That game will start at 7:30, and you're going to see Mike Mahoney, and the ever-popular Jerry Ingram, who played Chicago, is going to be on with California. There's a cross, headed away by Spaulding. Comes up to Peter Russell. Peter starting a run. Over midfield. He's got Granitza on the near side. Feeding Schevenhagen, who came through, but he put it too far ahead. The ball really running, and the linesman, Roy, it looked like...
He called offside. You're not supposed to be offside if you move after the ball has been passed, but the linesman waved his flag.
So the Vancouver Whitecaps, Carl Valentine drops it back to Steve Kember in the midfield. Picked up by Ingo Peter. Willie Roy having to do some shuffling with the injuries to Christensen and Blankenberg. He has Advocat as the sweeper. Has Stephenhagen up on the front line. Roy Johnson to Valentine. But the ball skips by Valentine. And Chicago's Ingo Peter has it. Against Willie Johnson. Gets by Johnson. And Ingo has some room to run. It's picked up by Kenyon.
He's playing with about 6 stitches in his head, isn't he?
Comes to the field, near side of the field. Oh, just before it gets to Carl, Nelson breaks it up. Good move by young Paul Nelson. Because had that ball gone over his head, Carl Granitza would have had an open path to the goal.
Did Ingo get injured up in Philadelphia Wednesday night?
He took a knee in the head, or an elbow in the head from Rudy Martinovich, and took 6 stitches. Had to leave the game. 30 fouls from Philadelphia in that game. Boy, I tell you, it was a butcher shop out there. They had committed 36 against Dallas the night before. You'd think they'd be a little tougher on it. There's Stephenhagen battling hard for the ball. Pushed off. Loose ball. It's going to be awarded to the Sting. Last touch by Vancouver. The crowd getting a little tense here. Less than 30 minutes to go in the ball game. Still tied at 1. Both goals scored in the first half. Leslie James will be at the Sting office Monday through Friday to tell you all about those great 16 suburban summer soccer camps the Sting's going to be running. Your children, boys and girls, age up to 16 years old.
Referee, by the way, for those of you who wonder what is going on, he's making the Sting take the throw in from where the ball went out. All soccer players will try and get an extra 10 yards or however many you can get away with.
Charlie Ficus receives that pass. Ficus now over midfield, kicked away from him. There's a foot race. Stephenhagen racing with Kenyon, but the ball finally comes back to Dave Harvey. Anyway, we're talking about those summer camps, Roy. They have been immensely successful. Boys and girls up to age 16. 16 convenient suburban locations. 558-KICK. That's 558-KICK. Talk to Leslie James, and she'll give you all the information. And they are extremely reasonably priced.
It's nice to learn from the pros.
There's the lead to Carl Valentine. Matthew on him. Valentine slips, and the ball skids off the back of his heel out of bounds. Less than 29 minutes to go. Still tied at 1. Ingo Peter breaks loose. He goes to Charlie Ficus. Charlie, the lead to Brett Hall, but doesn't quite connect. Kenyon is there, and he hits a 35-yard pass right back to the goalkeeper. Flings it upfield. He's got Leonard Ducey to the near side to Nelson. Picked up by Peter Russell. Goes to Cravens. Now to Kenyon. On the far side to Parsons. Over the midfield stripe they come. Ingo Peter picks up Parsons. Sting 35-yard line, gives to Willie Johnston. However, a foul called on Ingo Peter.
Yeah, he went to kick the ball. He did not intentionally kick the Whitecap player, but unfortunately,
It
that's
hurt
what
just
happened.
the same.
Sure does.
There's the free kick into the penalty area. Shoving heads in front. Johnson. Kicked away by Parks. Loose ball. And an offside is called against Vancouver on the second kick. The first kick, Phil Parks made a super save. It looked like Willie Johnson had filled to himself.
All right, here, we'll look at it from the kick. There it is. That's a long boot. Now watch Parks play this ball. Here it comes. There's the header, and Phil is... Oh, he booted it out. He got
Super
his left,
tackle.
Got it. Phil got his left foot on that one.
And when Vancouver came back, they were offside. Break for Chicago. There's Cravens heading it off to the far side to Buzz Parsons. And he goes 35 yards back to the...
Goalkeeper's the only one who can touch the ball with it, but he can. He can punch it with his hand, he can catch it, he can kick it, he can do just about anything as long as he is in his goal area.
Don't forget, at the end of the game, Roy and I will be selecting the Lipton Tea offensive and defensive player in our own inimitable fashion. Charlie Ficus goes through to Ingo Peter. Here's the sting on the attack. Peter leading, Peter Russell. Russell coming in on the goal. He tries to cross, broken up, loose ball grabbed by Harvey. Peter Russell chose not to shoot. He tried to go to Steffenhagen coming up the slot, but it didn't work.
Let's watch it. Of course, Dave Harvey was coming out to cut down the angle. I don't really think Peter had any other choice. There was Harvey, who could have probably blocked any shot that Peter might have tried to make.
Yes, I think you're right. There's Kember putting it into the zone again to Willie Johnson. Johnson trying to get loose for the shot. Give and go. Here's Alan Ball. Shot. Goes to the near side of the area. Battle for it. Slips off the end line. And I think they're going to give Chicago a goal kick. They are. Last touch. Coming Vancouver Whitecaps.
Oh, it's getting tense. It's 1-1 here in Vancouver.
Don't forget, when the Sting heads for home next Saturday night, that's going to be Ambling night. And all the ladies in attendance in honor of Mother's Day will be given beautiful flowers courtesy of Amlings. That's Saturday night, May 10th, 7:30 at beautiful Comiskey Park. Come on, have a party.
Yeah, if you haven't seen a game at Comiskey Park, the way the soccer field is set up is just perfect for viewing. The food is good. The parking is great. It'll be a super home game. And if you have to stay home and watch us on television, we're going to be having another television game for you on Saturday, June the 28th, when we go up to Minnesota. We'll be there live on WGN. Howard Balson and yours truly, Roy Leonard.
Up it comes. Willie Johnson traps it off his chest at the midfield. Goes to Kember. Near side, Bob Leonarduzzi. Picked up by Ficus. Back to Kember. Goes to Johnson on the sideline. Comes back to Leonarduzzi. Drives it into the zone. They're looking for Weimark. But Rudy Glenn covering Weimark all the way. Nice move, and it results in a goal kick for Chicago. Rudy Glenn playing like a real veteran out there,
He
Roy.
really is, and I'm sure he's up for this one. I mean, he started for the very first time. Young fellow who was brought up in Germany, where his father was stationed with the armed forces. He learned to play soccer in Germany. Of course, he is an American citizen. Sting's draft choice from Indiana. Played with Ficus. Excellent ball player. It's good to see him start and do an excellent job back there tonight. As you know, Horst Blankenberg is out with that bad knee, and we've got Dig Advocat working as the sweeper. Willie Roy decided to put Rudy in there because of the height advantage.
Here's Brett Hall on a run. Hall heading toward the end line. Can he catch up to the ball? No, he just can't do it. I'll tell you on this AstroTurf that ball runs. Brett Hall really tried to, and he's quick too, tried to keep it in, couldn't do it. Goal kick, Vancouver.
Brett Hall is another of our young American players from Wheaton.
That's right.
Excellent player. You know, all that cheering that's going on, I wish you could see it, but frankly, the way the lights are set up here at Empire Stadium, it's just too dark in the stands to show you the 30,000 people.
Not an empty seat?
No, this place is packed tonight.
Here's Vancouver on the attack again. There's the cross looking for Weimark, broken up. Here's Ingo Peter. Moving it up to Peter Russell. Russell's crossed over to the left side now. It's picked up by Parsons. Peter faking left. Going to the outside now. Alan Ball trying to help out. He goes back to Peter. There's a cross out in front. Granitz's header goes over the bar. Long crossing pass by Ingo Peter, and Karl-Heinz Granitza went up, but the ball went over the bar.
Just see what I mean, fans? There are honest. Every single seat is full, but it's a little difficult, I think, for you to make it out because of the lighting situation here at Empire Stadium. But they love their soccer, they really do, and we're going to get our first substitution of the evening. But if you want to look at that last header by Carl, there it is. And number 10 is coming in for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Bob Bolitho in the ballgame for Vancouver, and he's replacing Buzz Parsons. Bolitho is a native Canadian, comes from right around here. And now there's a little flare of temper between Paul Nelson and Bob Lenarduzzi on that misdirected pass. Dickie Advocat for Chicago comes up to Charlie Ficus. Stevenhagen. Nice move by Arno, trying to get around Alan Ball. You don't do that often. Ball is quite a player. He goes to Karl-Heinz Granitza, can't control it off his toe, and Steve Kember has it. Drives it forward, but again, there's nobody there. They thought Bolitho would make his move.
Here's Mr. Bolitho right there, number 10, who just came in, the first substitution tonight.
Well, they thought he shouldn't be standing there forward, and they kicked the ball out of bounds. At any rate, Sting trying to attack, trying to get something going. The score tied at 1. We're coming down to the halfway mark of the second half. A long high drive. Kenyon pushes it off to the far side. Bolitho trying to control, kicked away momentarily. Ingo Peter takes one right in the small of the back. Referee says play on, and Peter comes out with it for Chicago. He's working with Brett Hall. There's a long lead. Peter Russell. He's on sides. Russell on our side of the penalty area. Everyone is forming up against him. Peter takes it back to the sideline, drops it back to Ingo Peter. There's the drive. Granitza's header goes in front. And Ficus just barely misses. That ball went over Granitza's head. Charlie Ficus went high and just barely missed.
Let's watch it again. There's the cross, and here comes Ficus in. You'll see his head. He gets up as high as he can, but it goes off the side rather than right on the... There it is. Goes off the side of his head rather than on the forehead, and it goes off to the side of the goal. Attendance is here. We've got 30,176 at Empire Stadium tonight. 1,176.
Lenarduzzi for Vancouver. Picked up by Brett Hall. Drops it off to Alan Ball. Back to Lenarduzzi. Advocat comes up. Brett Hall on the intercept. Pushes it through. Kicked away by Ingo Peter. Stevenhagen to Granitza. Karl-Heinz Granitza, Big Thunder on the run. He goes back to Stevenhagen, but it is kicked away. One step too much. And John Cravens is able to get in between. Ball booted upfield over everybody's head. Franz Matthew, Crazy Goo, is there. Pushes it back, looking for Granitza. Traps it off his instep. Goes to Russell. Russell has 2 men to beat. And he goes down, and there's going to be a foul called against Bob Bolitho of Vancouver. The Sting will have a free kick.
You can look at the foul if you want to. He's legitimately going after the ball. He reaches in for the ball, but he also hits Peter Russell. It should be a direct kick.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah.
Ingo Peter now standing 40 yards out. The Sting deploying their attackers forward, but they must stay on sides. Not much of a wall. One man. Ingo Peter, up it goes. Stevenhagen heads it off to the far side. Russell is Joe. He's dumped by Bolitho. Referee says play on. It was a legal shoulder charge. The ball went out of bounds on the far side, and it's going to be a throw in for Chicago. And the fans on that side don't like it.
If you want to see what physical action goes on here in a soccer game, there's an example.
There's Granitza taking a shot, and it goes over the end line. It's going to be a goal kick for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Score tied at 1. Just over 20 minutes remaining to play in the ball game. David Harvey, brought in by Vancouver to replace the very popular Phil Parks.
Phil said to us at halftime, the only thing he cares about is winning this game tonight.
We're tied at 1. Both goals in the first half. Stevenhagen for Chicago. Trevor Weimark for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Paul Nelson at the 35. He's looking for Weimark. Weimark pushes it forward. Brett Hall is there to cut it off, and he is dumped down. Referee saw it. Referee saw it.
There's the call right now on Brett Hall, by the way. Or the call wasn't on Brett, but Brett was the guy who got dumped.
That was Alan Ball doing a number. Interception made at the midfield. Here comes Vancouver. Valentine moving inside the Sting 35-yard line. He tries to go to Willie Johnson, but Johnson was not making his run up the sideline. The ball goes out of bounds. Throw in for Chicago. Our next Sting telecast, Saturday evening, June 28th, when the Sting meets the Minnesota Kicks up at Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. And if you remember last year up there, that's when we had that highly controversial shootout. And you know the Sting wants a little bit of revenge for that, even though we did beat Minnesota at Comiskey Park the other night.
I think you're excited about going back.
Oh, yeah. I really am. It's fun really to do a game from there. You feel like you're really in the game. Here comes Vancouver back on the attack. Kember leaves it for Willie Johnson. Picked up by Spaulding. Spaulding won't take the fake, so Johnson has to give it right back to... He crosses, looking for Weimark again. Goes over Weimark's head, headed away by Hall. Lenarduzzi runs it down. Pushes it over on the far side. Finally comes back to Kenyon. Kenyon tries to drive it in. Broke it up by Ingo Peter. Peter wrestled there to Granitza. And Carl sees that ball skip right past him.
Boy, the ball works so much differently on this AstroTurf than it does on the natural grass. And soccer players, by the way, are not that happy over natural turf, over AstroTurf, especially those players from Europe. They're just not used to it. They don't like it, and they probably never will.
And there's no questioning the advantage a home team has when it plays on AstroTurf all the time. And this is not very cushiony AstroTurf. This is like fuzzy carpet out here, and it's really not in good shape. I mean, you know, some of the carpet you have in an old room, that's what this is like. You know, it's threadbare. Here's Peter Russell on a run. He is battling Bolitho for it. Bolitho slips and falls down. Ball goes over the end line. Let's see how they give it.
No, they're going to call a foul on Peter.
Yes, they are. They're saying that Peter actually pushed Bob Bolitho down. Would Peter do that?
Not intentionally, of course.
Caught him right on the leg. There's Harvey flipping it to the near side. Paul Nelson picked up by Arno Steffenhagen. Less than 18 minutes to go now in this ball game, all tied at 1. Harvey waving his forwards forward, and he gives it a ride, driving it inside the Sting 35-yard line. Advocat gives ground. He goes up with his head to push it out of danger. Charlie Ficus there to help out. Tries to go back to Advocat, taken away by Leonard Ducey. Goes to Kember. Kember coming. Glenn on him. Give and go. Broken up by Rudy Glenn. Brett Hall is there. Brett Hall tries to attack. Taken by Kember in the penalty area. Dropped it back. Brett Hall just able to take that ball away at the last minute from Alan Ball. Hall now on a run. He gets by Alan Ball. Brett Hall making a good run up the sideline. To Peter Russell. Sting coming. Russell fakes it back to Hall. Keeps control of himself. Comes to Arno Steffenhagen at the 35. Steffenhagen's inside. He goes to Granitza. Granitza fires. Grab by the goalkeeper, Harvey.
I'm glad to see Carl. Carl is beginning to shoot more than he has in our first few games. In fact, if you want to see that left foot in action, there it is. Unfortunately, it's right at David Harvey. But you got to keep shooting if you're going to score.
That's right. Arno Steffenhagen with it. Gets around Kember. Steffenhagen moving at the 35. Give and go with Granitza. Broken up by Nelson. Ficus is there. Can't take it away. Nelson keeps control. Upfield to Valentine. Overleads him. Stings Derek Spalding. Trap off the chest. Spalding along the 35 to Charlie Ficus. Nelson over on the far side. Peter Russell picked up by Bob Bolitho. He came in for Buzz Parsons in the second half. Only substitution in the game thus far. There's Peter Russell being shoved away. And I think we're going to have an obstruction. Peter Russell was pushed. Now is it going to be a direct or indirect kick? Let's see. That was actually in the box. He was pushed off the play as he was going for the ball. Let's see how the referee calls that, Roy.
Well, the referee will do what most referees do. They don't want to give a penalty kick unless it's a violation.
Yes.
So what he'll do is he will put it right on the 18-yard line, and it will be a direct. This is that wall that we were talking about. Notice how Harvey has set up the men to protect the right-hand side of the goal. Now Harvey moves. You'll see Harvey in a moment move to the left.
He is waving that wall back 10 yards. Ingo Peter and Karl-Heinz Granitza, the two big bombers, over the ball.
There's a nice shot of the action.
There's Ingo Peter. He drives it. It is deflected by the goalkeeper, Harvey, over the bar.
Now, what Ingo Peter did is just the perfect, in fact, from the end zone, you can see exactly what Ingo Peter did. He tried to bend that ball right under the crossbar, and the only thing that Harvey could do is to tip it over. He couldn't catch it, so he tipped it over, and we will get a corner kick. So Peter Russell will get over here into the corner and see if the Sting can go ahead.
There's the cross header. Granitza off to the far side. It's going to be a goal kick. We're tied at 1 out here with less than 15 to go in the game, and Soccer 80 will continue after this. Also with Roy Hire Stadium in Vancouver, we're tied at 1, 14-10 to go in this ballgame. Roy, there's a score that I don't like too well, but I guess we have to live with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, a final score. Memphis did beat San Diego tonight 1-0.
That's hard.
In fact, hang on, and we will give you all the final scores in all the North American Soccer League action tonight here in the remaining 14 minutes or so of action.
That's too bad, because I'll tell you, the San Diego Ball Club is tough, and they're tough at home, and you got to give Memphis credit. They have really improved. They've won 4 ball games now. Took them half the year practically to win 4 last year. There's a long drive by Parks, headed back toward the goal, and Cravens goes to the goalkeeper, Carl Granitza, tracking the play all the way. Here comes Vancouver back on the attack. Bob Bolitho to Steve Kember. 13.5 minutes to go. Here's Bolitho, his cross, header by Weimark. Oh, just mark! Trevor Weimark just missed the go-ahead goal, putting it over the bar.
Okay, if you want to watch this one, here we go. Now, Phil does not have to touch it. It does go over the crossbar, but he's not going to take any chances. There's the header. Up, up, up it goes. Phil did not touch it, therefore it's a goal kick.
Sting will be playing Wednesday night in Atlanta to close out this road trip. Then back Saturday night, Comiskey Park against California. Ambling night, 7:30 p.m. start. All the ladies get flowers. Charlie Ficus trying to work it, can't do it. Alan Ball takes it away, drops it up to Kenyon. Over leads Valentine, and Matthew is there, taps it out, throw in Vancouver.
Here's another final score. Seattle, no trouble at all, beating unfortunate San Jose. Final score, 4-0. Seattle, a big winner tonight. And Tampa Bay beat Portland 1-0. That's another final.
Letho taps it back to Kenyon. There's Vancouver's attack across, broken up by Spaulding, drives it upfield. Bolito is there.
There's the final. Tulsa beating Los Angeles 1-0.
Tulsa's got a tough team too. Well, I tell you, this league, the competition in this league, really close. Every game, there is just no way you can predict the outcome of these ball games. Here's Ingo Peter, trying to push it through to Stevenhagen, up to Granitza. Tries to control the ball with his head. Battle for the ball, taken back by Vancouver. Paul Nelson's going to give it to the goalkeeper, David Harvey.
Carl turns to the referee and says, you know, I was really pushed off on that. You mean you really couldn't see it, sir?
Don't forget, 558-KICK, 558-KICK. For information on all upcoming Sting home games and great group ticket discount plans and season ticket discount plans, 558-KICK. And there's operators on duty right now. There's Peter Ressel heading that ball off to the side, breaking up a Vancouver cross. It's going to be a throw-in. Willie Johnson will take it for Vancouver. Crowd getting very itchy here. We're still tied at 1. This game could be decided any split second. Don't go away, even though I know it's very late back where you are in Chicago. Alan Ball backheels it to Johnson, tries for the cross. It tips off of Peter Ressel. Now we're going to have a corner kick. Dangerous one.
Yeah, these are the dangerous ones, as we explained at halftime, and you can watch it. Willie Johnson will try and curve it in front of the goal, a header, a kick. Naturally, Vancouver Whitecaps want to win this home game. They have not had that good a season.
There's the cross. Rudy Glenn able to win it. Push it outside. Taken back by Alan Ball. Tries to go inside to Valentine.
Foul's called on Vancouver. There was a lot of pushing off as he turned. Referee was right there to see it. So the Sting will have a direct, which is a very nice thing to have at this moment. We would like to get the ball about 3/4 of the way up the field right now.
Keep the ball down to the viewer's right, the remainder of the game.
Here we go. Phil will boot it. And he does.
Oh, big kick into the Vancouver zone. Kenyon over Granitza wins the header. Vancouver controlling, but Granitza. He goes to Ingo Peter. The big guy trying to get around Kember. Little stutter step there for the give and go, trying to control for the cross. Kember battling, the ball slides out. It's going to be a throw-in for Chicago. Kember claims he kicked it off of Ingo Peter. Referee was right down there, didn't see it that way. That's Robert Morgan, the referee. Throw-in to Ficus. Ficus comes back to Hall. Hall with a good little move. He crosses, looking for Granitza. Granitza out in front. Backheels it. There's a shot. And it just sails over the bar. Charlie Ficus got his hard right foot in at that time. The goalkeeper went up, but he did not get it, and it's a goal kick.
In fact, if you want to watch that shot, here it is.
Real rocket.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Vancouver trying to come out of their own zone. Off on the far side they go. The Bob Bolito. He drops it back to Kenyon. Kenyon to Craven. 9 minutes to go in the ball game. Tied at 1. They come to the near side to Paul Nelson. Vancouver moving right to left. Nelson again misdirects his pass to Willie Johnston. The crowd on this side starting to climb on. I can't tell if it's Nelson or Johnston.
Incidentally, fans, that Willie, you can see the Chicago bench now. That's Willie Roy in the dark jacket. And a listener wrote me a letter after our first telecast from Tampa, wondering how a coach can give instructions to his players. Well, he really can. He can yell, but once the game starts, once the action is going, all he can do is yell and hope that they hear him.
There's a lead. Ingo Peter fighting Nelson for it, and it goes out. And the linesman is saying last touch by Ingo Peter. I don't know if you could notice, because we weren't really in on a close. Roy, he's got his brand new glasses on.
Oh, yes. the better to see you with.
The story goes he was yelling at Brett Hall in a practice, and Brett Hall said, "No, that wasn't me." That was Greg Ryan, and Willie thought he better get some glasses. Here comes Roger Kenyon over the midfield stripe. Ball kicked away nicely by Hall, trapped by Anders Stevenhagen. Avoids a charging Bob Bolitho, goes to Brett Hall, almost overruns it. Pass broken up. Here's Vancouver on the attack. Matthew and Alan Ball. Ball wins control. Ball crosses. Parks is there. Oh, nice to see the big guy reach up those arms.
We've only got 7 minutes and 41 seconds left in regulation time, and it's all tied up in Vancouver tonight.
Let's go black and yellow. Let's get that go-ahead. Phil Parks in the nets for Chicago. Brett Hall tangles up with Bob. No, that was not Bob Bolitho. It was Carl Valentine. Hall is down, holding his leg. And let's see how that's going to work out.
Let's watch it. Now, here's Brett with the ball. And I don't know, I don't think he was going after the ball.
Well, I think the rule was that Valentine pushed Brett Hall off. That left hand came snaking out. And meanwhile, Ken Stiff, the trainer, is out once again. We're tied at 1, 7:06 to go in the ball game, and we'll have more Soccer Radio in just a moment.
To every man who works with fire.
Action resumes at Empire Stadium. Brett Hall is running, staying in the game. Time now shows less than 7 minutes, Roy. Let's get that goal quickly. Here comes Vancouver. Bolitho, long lead pass. France Matthew tracking the ball. Keeps it inbounds. Drives it back upfield. Intercepted by Vancouver, and the Whitecaps have control. They try to cross in. Broken up by Charlie Ficus. Here's Alan Ball trying to go through to Johnson. Now to Bobby, picked up by Spalding. And Spalding breaks up the crossing pass. Paul Nelson there for Vancouver at the 35. There's a long cross. Matthew in the air. Head ball going over the end line. It's going to be a corner kick. They're saying France Matthew touched it last.
The linesman called for a corner kick, but the referee called for a goal kick. And the referee, although he does get help from the linesman, he may overrule his linesman. He may choose to ignore him, or he can follow his suggestions. And I've never been able to figure out how he makes up his mind.
It's kind of like your wife, Roy, my wife. I mean, we have lots of options, but they are the ones who make the decisions. They can overrule us. All right, throw in for Vancouver.
And both the linesman and the referee on this one came to an agreement.
Nelson, back to Roger Kenyon. Right back to Nelson. Nelson picked up by Russell at the midfield strike. To Kember. Arno Stevenhagen on him. Kember back to John. Off on the far side to Bob Bolitho. Bingo Peter picking him up into the midfield on the far side. Less than 5.5 minutes to go in the game. All tied at 1. Loose ball. Dickie Advocat can't trap it. And now we're having a foul called against Chicago. And I don't think there's a question that Rudy Glenn had his arm hooked in Trevor Weimark's elbow. But they're not calling that as a foul. They're calling a foul at the 35. Free kick from there. Coming into the zone. Hit it away. Taken right back. Loose ball. Kicked out of danger by Rudy Glenn. It sails upfield and out of bounds. Rudy being very alert to get that ball away and kick it back upfield.
As we mentioned earlier, this is Rudy's first start for the Chicago Sting. Their first draft choice from Indiana. We really have needed his height in that backfield tonight.
Here's another substitution coming in for the Vancouver Whitecaps. David Robb, formerly with Tampa Bay, formerly with Philadelphia. He's going to come in replacing, let's see, Roger Kenyon coming out. And David Robb coming in. Now, it'll be interesting to shuffle it because Robb is another striker.
Right.
So Coach Bob McNabb now may throw a double striker up there of Trevor Weimark and David Robb and put one of the other players back on the back line. Meanwhile, Sting controlling. Stevenhagen. We're going to have to watch this David Robb. He is a mean guy.
Yeah, he's very
tough.
Yeah, and he's very abrasive.
Yes, he is. The drive up to midfield. Again, Vancouver controlling. They have dominated play here the last few minutes. 4.5 minutes remaining to play. It all tied at 1. Back into the Sting zone it goes. Give and go. Broken up by Rudy Glenn. He sails it high over midfield. Goes over Carl Granitz's head. Taken there by Kember. And Kember, a 36-yard kick right back to his goalkeeper. Flings it to the far side to Bob Bolitho. The crowd wants to see action. Yes, Weimark and David Robb are a double striker now. They're playing with only 2 men up front. Bolitho getting by Brett Hall. Matthew on him. Bolitho takes it toward the sideline, trying to get around Franz Matthew. Crazy Goose sticking with him. Bolitho gets loose for the cross. He puts it up top of the penalty area, but over Alan Ball's head. Charlie Ficus for Chicago on the counter. To Peter Russell. He's got to run to keep it in bounds, and he does. Tries to go back to Ficus, broken up by Vancouver, but Ficus battling for it. The ball is kicked out. Last touch by Charlie. Throw in for Vancouver. That ball really runs on the AstroTurf.
Very difficult for a player to control this ball, to judge how far it's going to go when he pushes it, especially when he's not used to playing on it.
Bob Bolitho standing on the ball for Vancouver. Tries to go to David Robb. Shouldered off the play, but a foul called on Ingo Peter. Free kick coming up for Vancouver, and Alan Ball stands on it, 40 yards out. Pushes it through, intercepted by Ficus. He goes to Carl Granitza. Back to Charlie Ficus. He's got Advocat at the 35. There's the long lead to Peter Russell. Instead, Russell catches up to it. Nelson on him. Russell trying to work around, but the ball kicked away by Nelson, and the crowd gives Nelson a nice hand.
As you just saw, we've got less than 3 minutes left here with the score tied, and Sting will have a throw-in awfully close to that Vancouver goal.
Peter Russell. And the referee is saying no. Oh, the linesman is telling Peter he's on the wrong line.
Yeah, well, it's the red line, Peter.
Goes to Charlie Ficus, traps it off his chest, comes back to Peter Russell. He traps it off his chest, tries for the cross, broken up by Nelson.
We're going to get a corner out of that one.
Yeah, we're going to get a corner.
Yep, the linesman was right there on the play. And as Peter and the Vancouver player went up for the ball, it was the Vancouver player who touched it last. This could be an all-important goal with 2.5 minutes left to play.
Peter Russell will take the corner kick. There's the cross. Up they come. Stevenhagen couldn't control it as it came off his chest. Ficus tries to put it back in the box, broke it up. Granitza, Ingo Peter fighting for it. Stevenhagen moving, shoots, grab, and the goalkeeper crown free. On the first cross, Arno trying to control it, couldn't. And then good hustle by Charlie Ficus finally got it back to Arno, and his shot was stopped. Loose ball at the Sting 35-yard line. Franz Matthew was there. Now Rudy Glenn, and Glenn pushes it back to the goalkeeper, Parks.
You want to see that last shot by Arno Stevenhagen as he finally was able to control it. There it is. It's a good shot, but unfortunately David Harvey played it perfectly and caught the ball. All right, we got 1 minute and 30 seconds left to play.
The ball at the midfield.
In regulation.
In regulation.
Right.
Vancouver trying to get control of the ball, but Franz Matthew there for Chicago, and he pumps it deep and out of bounds over on the far side. Going to be a throw-in for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Tied at 1. Early goals, first half goals. Arno Stevenhagen got Chicago in the lead. Tied up just a few minutes later by Trevor Weimark of Vancouver. Clock running down toward the 1 minute mark. Throw in Vancouver in their own zone. Kember has it. Goes to the goalkeeper Harvey. He's going to put it way upfield, and he does. Inside the Sting 35-yard line. Headed away by big Rudy Glenn, and he dumped Trevor Weimark, and there's going to be a free kick coming up for Vancouver. Weimark was put down by Glenn. And now the Vancouver Whitecaps have a dangerous situation here with a free kick at the Sting 35 and only 40 seconds remaining. Alan Ball will take it. Pushes it over to Bolitho. He fires across, headed away by Matthew. Gunnarducci trying to put it back to Willie Johnson. Johnson, the bicycle kick over his head. Derek Spalding is trying to push it over on the side, and he does. It's going to be a throw-in now with 20 seconds remaining in regulation time. If this game goes to the end in a tie, they will play a 7.5-minute sudden death, so don't go away. Now there's only 8 seconds. The crowd is calling for Johnson to put it in play, and Peter Russell very wide that ball over the end line on the throw-in, and the scoreboard clock, that's it. The regulation time has come to an end. Both sides now are going to take a minute rest, and then they will play a 7.5-minute sudden death. At regulation time, we are tied at 1, and we'll have more Soccer Radio in just a moment.
Beat us in an overtime.
In a shootout, and the guy who beat us was Mr. Phil Parks.
Why do you have to keep bringing that up? Of course, he's on our side.
Because he's on our side.
Right.
Hey, and I tell you, with a guy like Phil Parks in the net, I no longer really fear a shootout. I mean, that's not to say that Phil's going to win every shootout, but not only did I see him intimidate us and beat us in a shootout, but I remember in the semifinal games or the conference final against the Cosmos, how tough he was in the shootout against the Cosmos too. Mr. Phil Parks knows where it's at when it comes to coming out on shootouts.
By the way, we have a moment here in the Soccer Digest. There was a very interesting article that I read coming out of the airplane. Temple Pouncey has looked back on the bests and the worsts of 1979. And Karl-Heinz Granitza will hate me for this, but he earns the Itchy Trigger Finger Award. Last year, after we counted up all the statistics, Karl-Heinz Granitza took himself 212 shots in his 30 games. Now, that's a staggering average of about 7 per game. And to give you an idea of how many shots a game that is, the second place most shots taken in a game was by Jeff Bourne of Atlanta. Remember now, Karl-Heinz took 212, Jeff took 126. But, you know, it's been tough here early in the season for Karl. He has not taken as many shots as he used to. He has taken more tonight. He's taken some from farther out than he has taken before. We're getting ready for the first overtime as it's all tied up here in Vancouver.
We know that back in Chicago it is past. Those of you who have not turned into pumpkins, stay with us because this game can be decided now in a split second. This is not a 7.5-minute overtime. This is sudden death, or Roy, as some people like to call it, sudden victory.
Yeah, and also, of course, I believe now if there is no goal scored in the first 7.5-minute overtime, we will play we'll just switch sides and we will play another 7.5-minute overtime, and then we will have the famous or infamous North American Soccer League shootout, which has to be one of the most exciting things that you've ever seen. So really, you may want to plan to be a little sleepy tomorrow morning, but don't go away. This can be very exciting. I think for those of you, I think you have seen a game tonight that has shown a bit of everything that soccer is all about. Incidentally, the referees are now explaining to the team captains exactly how the overtime will work. They just want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding. And we will see our 7.5-minute overtime. And you have seen how exciting soccer can be. Sting Soccer on WGN Television, Channel 9, Chicago. I'm Roy Leonard, and Howard Balson is here. We're in Vancouver. It's live, and it's exciting.
I'll tell you, it's exciting. And for those of you who might have any question in your mind about the endurance and conditioning of soccer players, these fellows have been running for 90 minutes, and now they're going to just go back and play some more.
That's right, and they keep on running. You see, as you've noticed, for instance, there have only been 2 substitutions for Vancouver tonight.
And none for Chicago.
None for Chicago. That means every single player has been almost constantly on the run.
Vancouver continuing to move from right to left. They will kick off, start it. The overtime. Stefan Hagen, Granitza, Russell up front for Chicago. Alan Ball controlling for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Chicago's first overtime game of the year, and we're checking to see if Vancouver's been in one. Ball coming upfield to David Robb. Pushes it back to Johnston. They've got a tough attacking team in there, and it goes to Nelson. Nelson goes right back to Johnston. Derek Spalding on Johnston. Plays it back to Leonard Ducey, goes into the penalty area, kicked away by Matthew. Taken back by Valentine, kicked away by Matthew again, another great play. Willie Johnson with it. He crosses, broken up by Chicago. It comes back toward Granitza, but it's over his head. Granitza's pushed off the play. He's complaining to the referee, but Vancouver controls. Now there's less than 7 minutes to go in the first sudden death. There's the long lead off to the far side. The cross coming toward Weimark. Broken up nicely by Chicago's Ingo Peter. Taken back. Bobolito. Bobolito of Vancouver at the 35, trying to get around Ficus. Goes to Valentine, back it comes to Alan Ball. Their field general off to the far side. There's a race for the ball. It's heading toward the end line, and off it goes. And it's going to be a goal kick for Chicago. Last touch by Vancouver. Good work by Little Brett Hall.
This is a 7.5 minutes sudden death overtime from Vancouver. We have 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first of these sudden death overtimes. There'll be 2 of them. And then, if no goal is scored, we'll go into the shootout. We'll get to all of that when it happens.
That shot you just saw was Brett Hall. You thought he might have walked back to his position after that long run, but he ran, and there's Phil Parks driving it upfield, but it is intercepted by Vancouver. Hall now battling Alan Ball for it, and the ball slides out of bounds. Last touch by Ball. It's going to be a throw-in for the Chicago Sting, just about at their own 35-yard line on the far side, and Ingo Peter's going to take it. Time continuing to run down in the first overtime. Ingo tries to go to Brett Hall. Broken up by Vancouver. Up they go for the header over everyone's head. Franz Matthew now in control of the ball. He fakes going to the goalkeeper. Beautiful job by Matthew. Taken back by Vancouver's Kemper. Here come the Whitecaps on the attack. Pushed off to the far side. Vancouver, Bolitho. He comes to Lenarduzzi. Lenarduzzi's cross heading toward the goal. It slips off to the near side, and it's going to be a goal kick for Chicago once again.
I tell you, here in Vancouver, it isn't as late as where you are back home in Chicago, but there are 30,176 fans, and not one of them has left this place.
Sting goes to Atlanta Wednesday night. That game won't be on television, will be on WCFL radio. And then next Saturday night, home at Sox Park, Comiskey Park, against the California Surf, 7:30. Gambling Flower Night. Willie Johnson for Vancouver. Spaulding, the good tackle to drive it out.
We'll see you next Saturday at Comiskey Park, fans. 7:30 game time. Get there a little early.
Dick Advocat takes it away from David Robb, goes to Scheffenhagen. Arno making his run, Robb chasing the play. Arno now, he avoids one man. Arno still working, but it's kicked away by Nelson. Spaulding tries to help out, but broken up by Alan Ball. Arno trying to get it by Nelson and feed it to Russell, but he couldn't do it, and now Willie Johnson could try.
I think Arno wanted to do it all by himself. He got our first goal tonight on a great feed from Granitza.
There's Granitza breaking up the play. Russell to Scheffenhagen. He tries the back heel pass to Granitza, but he missed connection with it. And it's taken now by John Cravens. Pushed it off to Bolitho. Bolitho now to Valentine. Carl Valentine starting his run. Up on the far side he goes. Here's the cross. It's going way over the end line, over the crossbar, over everything except Empire Stadium, and it's going to be a goal kick for Chicago.
We've got about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left here in the first sudden death overtime.
Roy, it is a tense moment.
It certainly is. Parks, of course, now will try to get the ball as far as he can, but he would much prefer that it land at the feet of a Sting player so we can get control of this and start a drive.
And he booms it upfield over midfield. Scheffenhagen on header. Nice work. Granitza, and as Granitza goes to touch it, he grabbed it with his hand. The referee.
No.
It was a foul called.
Yeah, the referee had already called a foul, and Carl smartly knew that he had called it.
That was brainy work by Carl. It told me. Okay, here's Bolitho coming in from the far side, trying to get around and go Peter. Does get by Peter. He crosses out in front. A shot by Weimark goes over the crossbar, and my heart was in my mouth that time.
Now, that was a brilliant play by Carl. He knew, in fact, I can't hear the whistle up here, and you can't hear it up here, but Karl-Heinz Granitza knew that a foul would be called, so he dropped the ball, but unfortunately, we didn't have a wing who was ready to take the pass.
Bill Parks once again. Coming up over the midfield stripe. Granitza goes up, but it is headed away. Intercepted by Advocat. He goes to Brett Hall to Granitza. Battle for the ball. Arno Scheffenhagen comes up with it. He's got Nelson to beat as he comes to the 35-yard line. Goes to Granitza, standing on the ball. Valentine able to keep it away from him. Coming on Dick Advocat. He goes to ball. Allen Ball coming with room. Inside the 35. But he pushed it off to the far side. Taken back by Weimark. Weimark goes off to Bolitho. There's the cross. And down they go. As the ball pushed off to the far side, referee says play on. The crowd wanted a penalty kick, but it was both players from each side smashing into each other. No advantage there. Off the chest of Rudy Glenn, kicked away. Willie Johnson has it. Johnson crosses. Header toward the goal. Bill Parks watches it hit the side of the net. Goal kick coming up for Chicago, and Parks is screaming at either Trevor Weimark or David Robb. Something went on there, Roy, and we were watching the ball. We didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. We've only got about a minute and a half left in this first sudden death overtime. Dick Advocat is now talking to the referee, and Parks gets ready for the goal kick.
Bill pushes it toward the far side of the field. Headed right back by Vancouver. Kick to Glenn. Peter Russell going to Granitza. Granitza controlling. Granitza goes. Oh, he overleads Russell, and Nelson comes up with it. Again, the Sting trying to connect on the counterattack, and again, they just put that ball too far. It runs on the turf. David Robb trying to get around Advocat. He can't control it. The ball slides over the sideline, and they're going to give it to Chicago, and they should, although the crowd didn't think so.
No, the linesman up here, you can't see him. He's out of your vision, but he's to your right. He is standing right on the line, and the minute he sees the ball go over the line, he raises his flag, and the offside was called. Here we go. You can see the clock. This is the first sudden death overtime.
Bicycle kick by Advocat to get the ball upfield. Good move by Dick, because Derek Spaulding really didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to put that ball in play. Good close guarding, or as they call it in soccer, marking by Vancouver. Bolitho being tracked by Karl-Heinz Granitza. He goes to Kember. Remaining in the first sudden death. Valentine with it, kicked away by Wrestle, taken back by Ball. Ball tries to feed it through. He's got a man, but Matthews kicks it away. Taken out by Cravens. His pass broken up by Hall. And now the referee has signaled an end to the first sudden death, and there was no break now. They are going to immediately change sides of the field for a second and final 7.5-minute sudden death period. And if nobody scores in that period, we go to Mr. Leonard's infamous shooting.
I don't know whether it's infamous or not, but it's something that the North American Soccer League came up with to try and settle these games, to try and get a winner. We're used to, I guess, in America, having somebody win and having somebody lose. This is, by the way, a lot of the foreign-born players are not too excited about the shootout because, of course, soccer is one of the oldest games in the world. They're used to playing a tie. It doesn't bother them. Started playing ties when they started playing soccer in grammar school. But here in America, we have put in a very exciting thing called a shootout. In a way, I must admit to all of you, I hope we don't get to it. My heart is not in that good a shape. But anyway, we got 7.5 minutes of exciting soccer. It is sudden death now. The Sting controls the ball, and here we go. Howard.
All right, Ingo Peter driving up toward Charlie Ficus. Ficus shouldered off the ball, but Granitza will get it in the attack zone. Carl puts it in the penalty area, headed right out again. Alan Ball trying to control, and Vancouver fighting for it. Carl Valentine has it. Arno on the run. Arno trying to get that ball away, and he does. Good move by Stevenhagen. Stevenhagen now hemmed in by Alan Ball. He's got Matthew behind him, keeps it himself. Tries to go to Brett Hall, kicked away by Bob Bolitho. Ingo Peters there. The ball bounces on the turf over his head. Advocat shouldered off the ball, and a foul called on David Robb. He kind of gave it to Dickey right on the chin.
Yeah, the thing that bothered Advocat, of course, was the fact that he thought at first the whistle had been blown on him, and he just knew that couldn't be right, and of course, it wasn't. There we go.
Dickey Advocat will take the free kick on the Sting side of the midfield stripe. We're in the second sudden death overtime for Vancouver. We're tied at 1. The defending North American Soccer League champion Vancouver Whitecaps and the Chicago Sting.
This may not be the same team that won the championship, but they have played great soccer tonight, Howard. There's no doubt about it.
Actually, in some ways, Roy, it's even a better team.
Yeah.
They by putting in a guy like David Robb, they've got in Alan Ball at full, for the full season. Comes to Stevenhagen, tries to control, can't do it. Ball driven back to midfield. Dickey Advocat goes high, heads it to Franz Matthew. Matthew tries to go to Ficus. It's intercepted by Ball. Vancouver coming again. Off to the far side goes Alan Ball. To Kember. Kember now. The move to Willie Johnson. Johnson drives one and parks. Lets that ball hit the side of the net. And let's see how they rule it. It may have been deflected off a Chicago Sting defender, and yes, that's the way they're going to call it. It's going to be a corner kick for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Phil Parks came out. He was trying to tell the referees that it should have been a goal kick, but here we go. This could be an all-important corner kick for Vancouver.
The dangerous Willie Johnson will take it. Remember, a goal and it's over. There's the cross. It's going beyond the goal. Headed toward the goal. They try to backheel it. Parks dives on it. Phil Parks saves the day.
That was a beautiful save by Phil Parks, but he's not. In fact, if you want to see it, fans, as the Sting moves upfield, there's the kick. There's the header.
Here's Chicago. Goodness and Ingo Peter to Stevenhagen. Arno trying to come in. He shoots. Oh, the ball is deflected, and it goes over the end line.
That was a beautiful shot by Arno. No, that was all right. In fact, we'll see the shot. Arno has played such a super game tonight. However, Harvey got his...
He goes to Matthew. Matthew miskicks it. He tried to drive it through the crease. He miskicked it, and the ball is returned upfield.
Oh, I tell you, these exciting moments in the second sudden death overtime. There's only 5 minutes left. The first team to score is going to win this game.
It's just a great counterattack, Roy. First of all, my heart was in my mouth when Phil Parks made that save, and then when Arno came in on goal, I thought maybe this will be it. But we're still playing, tied at 1, as Dickey Advocat puts that ball all the way back deep into the Chicago zone.
I think we ought to pick our Lipton offensive player in the game, and there's no doubt in my mind that it's Chicago Sting's number 6, Arno Stevenhagen, who has played a brilliant game up front tonight.
Totally agree, Roy. Totally.
He's our Lipton offensive player of the game.
Ball going to David Robb. Robb's picked up by Peter, and Franz Matthews steals the ball. I'll tell you, there's a lot of good defense out there tonight, Roy. They are two terrific teams. It's hard, defensive player of the game. I mean, this takes a lot of soul searching, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's think about it another 30 seconds.
Okay. Ingo Peter, long drive forward, but there was nobody there, and that ball is going to run over the end line. And let's see how they're going to rule that. They're bringing it back to the 35. Foul called, so it's Steve Kember for Vancouver going to David Robb. Robb to Carl Valentine. All the way off on the far side. Valentine goes to Johnston. Back he comes to Lenarduzzi. Now to Craven. There's a shot. Phil Parks scoops it up like a shortstop on an easy grounder.
Three minutes. We were both thinking the same thing. 3.5 minutes left.
I tell you, there was a kind of a joke, I guess, on the Derby telecast earlier today where they said time is only important to a guy in prison. But if they were out here right now, I don't think they would have said that.
Okay, Vancouver is going to have the throw.
Here come the Whitecaps. Nice juggling by Vancouver to keep that ball. Looking, Johnson trying to work his way loose. He goes back to Lenarduzzi. Loose ball in the penalty area. Franz Matthew sails it out of bounds on the side. So Vancouver now threatening again deep in the sting zone. Carl Valentine will throw it in. Another substitute coming in for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Carl Scherer, Canadian defender, coming in, and Trevor Weimar going out. So Vancouver will go back to their three-man front. They go to David Robb, kicked away by Ingo Peter over the end line. Corner kick for Vancouver.
All right, we've got 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the second sudden death overtime, and they're not wasting any time either.
There's the short corner, Johnson, but he was offside.
Yeah, he was offside. The linesman, when you start fooling around at that end of the field in these rather tense times, not every player knows what the other do, and it's so easy to be drawn offside, especially when the ball goes back and forth between 2 and 3 players. Let's pick our defensive player while we just have about 2 or 3 more seconds, okay?
Okay, I am going to
I second the nomination.
Be an honest guy and say that I think this young fellow, Paul Nelson, I think has done an outstanding job because he has taken everything we could throw at him, and he really has done a great job. He's a Canadian boy, and I really think that a lot of good guys. We could give it to almost anybody in the Sting defense, too, but I thought Nelson was a little super.
He gets it, our Lipton defensive player.
Here's Granitza shooting, grab by Harvey. Carl Granitza got the big thunder foot on it, but Harvey was there. Ball is headed by David Robb toward the Sting goal. Phil Parks grabs it away. And down on the ground is Charlie Ficus. Spread eagled on the ground in the goal. No, that isn't Ficus.
No, it's Rudy Glenn.
That's Rudy Glenn.
Yeah.
Charlie Ficus just gave that ball to Carl Granitza.
But the game keeps on.
There's a give and go to Ficus. Ficus shoots. It hits the post. Charlie Ficus hit the goal post. And the ball came out and just eluded Peter Russell. And now the counterattack by Vancouver. Charlie Ficus hit the goal post. Peter Russell couldn't get the deflection. And now here comes Willie Johnson. He goes to Valentine. There's a shot grabbed by Parks and knocked off to the side. A great save by Phil Parks.
I tell you, let's see if we can see that Ficus shot once more. Here it is. There's the setup. There's Charlie. He gets his foot on the ball, and it hits the far post and bounces out. And live action again. There was a corner kick for Vancouver. However, the ball goes out of bounds, and it will go to Chicago. We've got 1 minute left in the second sudden death overtime here in Vancouver. Howard?
All right, Phil Parks holding onto that ball as if it were the jewels of England.
I guess
drops it in the penalty area.
I guess Rudy Glenn is okay. That save by Phil Parks. There it is. The ball came with such force he couldn't handle it, but he was able to push it off to the side.
Throw in for the Sting. 37 seconds remaining. Now less. Advocat tries to go to Granitza. Wrestle is dumped. And we're going to have a foul called on Steve Kember of Vancouver. Time continues to run in the second sudden death. If this game goes beyond the time limit, we're going to have a shootout. And if you've never seen a shootout, stick around, because there is tension all over the place. Carl Granitza will take the free kick. Only one man between Granitza and the goal. He comes into it. He curves it. The header slides off to the side. It's going to be a goal kick. And that's probably going to end the second sudden death. Mr. Leonard, I think we have ourselves a shootout. Sting first shooter, 35-yard line. David Harvey's in. Harvey coming out. Spalding waits. Spalding shoots. He scores. The Sting leads at 1-0.
All right, now this is, now what will happen is, now, beautiful end zone shot. One-on-one, Derek has just got to fake out the goalie and try and get the ball by. Phil can save one of these. It'll be a tremendous psychological advantage.
This is Bob Lenarduzzi for Vancouver. Parks comes out. Lenarduzzi fakes left, shoots, and it's deflected wide. Phil Parks got his hand on the ball. Sting leads it after one round.
Emotionally, this is Lenarduzzi, the only original member of the Vancouver Whitecaps, against Phil Parks.
The next shooter for Chicago, Peter Russell.
Yep.
Shootards are still somewhat new to Peter. Coming in, the goalkeeper's out. Peter waits. Peter shoots. Peter scores.
It goes in.
It hits the inside corner of the net. We had to make sure that that ball didn't hit the side of the net.
Yeah, I know. You have to be awful careful. In fact, you can see it better, fans, on television. We can probably see it in the booth. Now watch Peter. He's going to hook it right into that right-hand corner. There it goes.
So the Sting leads it now.
Ooh, that just gets in there, too.
Willie Johnston. Look at Willie on his knees in supplication. Willie to shoot for Vancouver.
Willie's the character of the Whitecaps, and here he goes.
Here he comes. Phil Parks comes out. Willie fakes left, shoots, and Parks deflects it again.
Another save for Phil Parks. Wait till you see that in replay.
And after 2 rounds, the Sting leads it 2-0. Phil Parks has been sensational.
In fact, we'll watch it again. I think Phil just gets his right hand on it, as he did with the other shot.
They both tried to do the same thing, and Phil was waiting. Arno Steffenhagen will shoot for Chicago. Here comes Arno. Keeper's out. Arno tries to chip it, but he misses, and it goes off to the side. The goalkeeper is down.
Yeah, David Harvey crumpled on that, and maybe we can see in the replay what happened. Arno's shot didn't go in, but goalie David Harvey of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Let's watch. Here's the tail end of it now. Now we got to go back a little.
Well, you can see there was no physical contact between Arno and the goalkeeper.
He might have.
Starts. Parks is out again. And Phil stops it.
Oh, beautiful.
Magnificent save by Phil Parks. Phil Parks has returned to Vancouver, and the Vancouver fans, again, I imagine, Roy, if the Sting wins this shootout, the fans are going to be writing letters. Again, why did you get rid of Phil Parks? Now, here's the situation. The Sting leads it 2-0. Carol Granitz is coming. Harvey's out. Carol shoots. He scores. It's over. The Chicago Sting has defeated the Vancouver Whitecaps by a score of 2-1. Mathematically, Vancouver can only make 2. The Sting has made 3. And let's take a look, Roy.
All right, Karl-Heinz Granitza knows that this shot can win it. He takes his time. There's that famous left foot right to the right of David Harvey. And the Chicago Sting does it. And Carl finally got a goal this season.
And 30,176 fans are stunned by Phil Parks.
It's been an exciting evening, fans. Late night for you in Chicago, but it's worth every long minute of it. As here in Vancouver, with Phil Parks returning to Empire Stadium as a member of the Chicago Sting, the Sting defeats the Vancouver Whitecaps 2-1 in that, now let's call it a famous shootout, shall we?
That is just typical of why the Sting and Lee Stern had to get Phil Parks in the nets for Chicago. There was never a doubt, was there, Roy? We knew we were going to win this ball game.
It was a great game, fans. We're glad that we could share it with you. We hope that you will be with us at home next Saturday night when we will be home in Chicago at Comiskey Park.
Okay, and so until we talk to you again, for Roy Leonard, this is Howard Balson saying so long, everybody, from Empire Stadium in Vancouver.
Thanks to the Director of Broadcasting for the North American Soccer League, Mr. Ronald E. Bay. Our telecast this evening was produced and directed by
Niels Mello.
Niels Mello.
And our floor director, we want to mention him too, Buddy Schwan.
Our technical director tonight was Rick Norris. This has been a presentation of the Hughes Television Network.